hit subscribe. Subscribe to my guy, Uncle D. Tell him Big Bass sent you.
Spurling. I'm an attorney here in Houston, Texas. An advocate for black men, largely because I am a black man. I'm a black father. I have black sons. Hey, man, I do what I do. What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome, everybody. Welcome, everybody, on this wonderful day. I know it is called Mother's Day, and in celebration of Mother's Day, I want everybody in the chat room with me today to just say your mama. I want everybody in the chat room, go ahead and say your mama, and we're going to get this thing started. We have a very good and interesting broadcast, but we must acknowledge all the mamas. So your mama is what I want you to put in the chat room, and just say your mama, okay? And not your mama. I want ya. Okay, everybody say your mama. Okay, and if you don't know how to spell ya, okay, or properly pronounce that, and matter of fact, I want all my white friends who are here, especially those who are not from the South. When you see your friend or neighbor, it's a proper way in which to greet your neighbor's friend. Just say your mama. Matter of fact, if you have a black friend, I want all my white fans. I want all you all, especially you all from the north. Okay, I want anybody north of the Mason-Dixon line. When you next time you see your black friend, tell them you listen to a black podcaster, and he said the proper way to acknowledge the love and affection that you have for your mother is just say your mama. So when you see your black friend, just say your mama. I want you to say it just like that. Same annotation, same sweet. Your mama. Okay, I want you all to say that. Okay, and then come back and report back to me. I'll give you all probably 72 hours. It's going to take a couple of hours to get out to the hospital. I'm thinking maybe let's report back Wednesday. You all can let me know how that went. Okay, so just your mama. So shout out all of the mothers today. I want to mothers, grandmas, big mamas, my dears. Okay, but make sure as you enter into the broadcast, you say your mama. And for those of you all who don't have your mother with you today, put her name in the chat room. If your mother, your grandmother is gone, go ahead and put her name in the chat room. Ethel, Annie Lou's, Mildred. I know that we have a lot of Mildreds out there. Mildred and Luann's. There's going to be some Luann's. And there's going to be some Zenobias. I'm sure there are some Zenobias out there. So we want to take the time. See, I'm sensitive, okay? I'm sensitive to your needs. See how Audrey's, there's Joyce, Naoma, Cora, yeah, Cora Lynn or Cora Ann, Barbara Jean, right, yes. May Owen, that's a good one. Yeah, yes, come on now. We want to take the time to acknowledge all of your mamas. Okay, I want to acknowledge all of your mama. All right, and that's from me, from my heart. You know, I'm a big-hearted person. Your mama is from me. Okay, all you people who are watching the broadcast, I want y'all to big your mama from Uncle D. Praise Moses. Praise Moses. Mamie, yeah, that's right. We are acknowledging all y'all's mamas. Okay, so anyway, I'd like to first introduce myself once again. My name is Dennis Spurling, and I'm a podcaster here. And I enjoy you all's company. I really do. This is becoming the thrill of my day. I just want y'all to know I enjoy aggravating the hell out of you all. As you all know, I was the little light-skinned boy. Okay, the little red boy that was bad as hell at your elementary school. That was me. You couldn't outfight me. Okay. And I was that guy. I was the guy that you went home and told your mama about, and they said, go fight him. And then you found out he's really big and he's strong. He's really strong, and he got a big family. That was me. I was a bad little red child that used to, steal the peaches out of the next door neighbor's uh, yard trees. I was the one who would be stealing stuff out the local liquor store. I was the one. Me and my bad cousins, we would be the children that would, go up to the local school for the school lunch program and steal as many lunches as we could, stuff them under our shirt, and run and hop the gate and get home. That's what we did. Okay. But yeah, I would aggravate. I was sweet boy. I was a very nice child, but I would aggravate the hell out of you. See, that was me because I was so bad. I was just bad. I can admit that now. I was a bad child, unruly, nothing like my wonderful children, beautiful children, but I was bad as hell. Okay. If I was to be tried and convicted for some of my childhood misdemeanors and felonious activity, I probably would have did about 7 years. Okay, I'm just gonna say that now. But anyway, somebody said there's a buzzing sound. We'll see if we can fix the buzzing sound. We don't want any buzzing to happen. I don't see any buzzing sound. Does anybody have a buzzing sound? Is the sound okay? Family, is the sound okay? Let me know if the sound is okay. Somebody said the sound is buzzing. Is the sound okay? If the sound is good, type 1 in the chat room. If the sound is bad, type 2 in the chat room. It should be pretty good. I don't know what the issue is with the sound. If we good, little statically, oh Lord Jesus, I don't know what to say. Somebody's saying it's a little static in the chat room. I don't know. Let me double check and triple check. All right. Somebody said 2. Somebody said 1. Oh Lord, we don't pray on it. Let me see here. I'm not sure. No, I'm not sure. What about now? How does that sound now? How is it now? Tell me how we're doing now. Tell me how we're doing. It's buzzing sound. How about now? Did that fix it? Huh? Did it fix it? Now I'm a little buzzing, but can still hear. Okay, is it better? Somebody said it's better. It's better. Okay, praise Moses. All right, hallelujah, hallelujah. We don't want, the devil is busy. The devil is busy. But anyway, like I tell you guys all the time, I'm happy to be here. And if you learn something, I should earn something. But either way, let's go ahead and get to it. Welcome, everybody. My name is Dennis Spurling, and the title of this broadcast today is Democrats Traded Black Voters for Latinos and Got Played. Somebody type played in the chat room. See, that recent Supreme Court ruling got them shook. And this is the one on racial gerrymandering. It's Louisiana versus Kaye is being sold as a disaster for black people. Black people. Man, they got us supposed to be scared. They calling our names in a very specific way. Okay. Now, normally when we are looking for tangibles and looking for benefits, and what are you going to do for the black people? It's always POC, et cetera, et cetera. But they calling our names. They calling us by name. Okay, because the Republican legislators in these southern states are moving to redraw districts that'll reduce the number of majority black Democrat seats. Okay, Tennessee just enacted a map that breaks up the majority Memphis congressional district, and Alabama Republicans have asked the Supreme Court to clear the way for a new map after the court have required that the two major their requirement that there be at least 2 majority black districts was lifted. But the real people panicking aren't black people, whether they want to believe it or not. Most of y'all don't even know they can't even spell gerrymandering. Let's just be honest. Y'all, most people can't. Y'all can't. What Jerry? I don't know nobody named Jerry. Jerry Mander, who is that? Is he Italian? Right? But bottom line is, fam, it's not really black people that are so terribly concerned about this. It's really these black Democratic politicians who are going to lose their job. Okay, you're going to lose your job. You're going to lose your job. That's why you mad. And we know what's up. Because see, for 60 years, we've had these black faces in high places, and black politicians, black congressional districts, black mayors, black city councils, and black political representation, and they've gotten rich. and they've gotten famous. You know, name them. Name all the famous black politicians that are not from your state. Right? They got powerful, and they just like their white counterparts. It's not just black politicians doing it. But the question that black folks have is, what did that so-called black representation actually produce for black people? Did it create safer neighborhoods, better schools? Did it help us acquire land ownership and wealth and inheritance? Did it empower black people having these black faces in high places? Or did it help those black politicians who sold us welfare, dependency, democratic loyalty, while they got rich? And see, I'm not buying the scare tactic and that black people are about to lose all this representation. We still have the right to vote for representatives, but those representatives may not necessarily be black Democrats. Okay, they can still run, and I'm sure there's going to be some black people running on the Republican Party along with the Democrat Party, but the same Democrats who had pushed the same policies that have failed our black communities for the past 60 years. Right? They're out. So it seems like black voters will start being able to choose people based on what they promise to do, not what they look like. And that's pretty darn good, in my opinion. Okay? Because all skin folk ain't kinfolk. But, you know, I think that's all right. You see? In 2026, black people aren't the same people we were in 1920 and 1940 and 1960s. We're wealthier, we're far more educated, we're more connected, we're more independent minded. And so this ruling is going to hurt the Democratic politicians who depended on those safe all black districts to keep their jobs along with their wealth and their status. But it allows black voters to ask the question we should have been asking all along: which one of these candidates' policies actually serve my interests? You see, now the midterms are coming up, and the Democrat politicians, they're scared to lose their job. So they're putting pressure on black people to turn out and vote for Democrats, but they're not even willing to tell us clearly what they're going to do for us. It's back to the same old message. Vote blue no matter who. Vote because the other side is racist. Vote because the democracy is at risk. Vote because the country is going to go up in smoke if you blacks don't come out and show up. Now, in 2024, the black voter turnout was about 59.6%. Y'all remember that, okay? 2024, 59.6% of the registered black voters, the people who could vote, voted. That's the second highest turnout of any racial or ethnic group in the country. The only group ahead of black voters was Hispanic voters. They voted 70.5%. Okay. So 70.5, almost 71% of black people who could vote voted. Hispanic voters turned out, Hispanic voter turnout was pretty high, and it's been up. Okay. And so the thing is, if black voters are showing up at the second highest rate, why do they keep blaming us for the loss to Trump? You understand what I mean? I mean, the Democrats act like they don't realize there's, been some generational changes. This new generation isn't afraid. They're not blindly loyal to one party. They're not even loyal to institutions. Just because somebody told them to do, they're not going to do it. These young people are not even loyal to their girlfriends and boyfriends and husbands and wives. Damn it, they're not. Why would you assume they would be loyal to a political party to keep showing up with nothing to offer in exchange for their time? And that's where these media types and these public figures and these politicians are missing the point. They think guilt is going to work on these young people. They think fear is going to work. These youngsters ain't scared of nothing. Okay. They think talking about ancestors and is going to work. I mean, when your grandma is 38, she's not even classified as an ancestor yet. So, they think saying that the other side is racist is going to be enough. But a lot of these young people have realized not only, let me say it like this. If the Republicans are racist, the liberals are just as racist also. Okay. But especially in places like California. But the bottom line is not working anymore because they're out of touch. And these days, black voters want to know, what are we getting? And speeches aren't enough. And Democrats still aren't putting anything real on the table. Matter of fact, it's part of their policy not to do that. Now, the question now is, what do black voters actually receive from the Democrats? Okay. And here's the thing, whether what they gave us actually changed our condition in any sort of measurable structure. I want you to think about that question. You can't say the Democrats didn't give us anything. Somebody typed stuff in the chat room. They gave us stuff. All right. I want y'all to listen to this very carefully because they gave us stuff. We can't deny that the Democrat has given us stuff. All right. So let's talk about Bill Clinton. You guys remember Bill Clinton? What do we get? Some of you all might have been around. You're giving up your age. That was my first time voting ever. Bill Clinton received 90% of the black vote in 1992. And you know what he gave us? He gave us the 1994 crime bill. And that bill helped expand the incarceration rate and funded the prison growth and strengthened law enforcement and helped create conditions for mass incarceration that hit black men especially hard, which in turn hit black families. Somebody typed 3 strikes law in the chat room. Okay, so Bill Clinton gave us the 3 strikes law. So in that case, black loyalty didn't produce it didn't produce the protection that we wanted. It helped empower the government that punished our community unfairly. And then in 1996, under Bill Clinton, Congress passed the Personal Responsibility and Work Opportunity Reconciliation Act of 1996. Okay, and this Clinton signed this on August 22nd, 1996, and this ended AFDC and replaced it with the temporary assistance for needy families. Okay, Clinton said the goal is to end welfare as we know it and promote work, responsibility, and family. But then the damage from decades of welfare design had already shaped family structure and expectations. Welfare had been going on for 70 years at that, more or less, about 60 years almost. And so welfare helped people survive, but it also created a system where eligibility often mattered more than ownership, and where government rules could shape a household's decision. You can't have no man in here, okay? And so this is where the marriage issue comes in. Welfare policy, it didn't single-handedly break the black family, okay? And we shouldn't make that argument that simple. But welfare rules often created penalties around marriage and work and household income. So if you got 2 or 3 women in your community who are single mothers, then the word kind of spreads. It's not so much shame associated with it, right? You see how that works? Even if they're, they never got in there. Now you got a woman down the way, I'm gonna get a divorce too. I see them doing it. This is the thing. This is the trend, right? Research on welfare and marriage explains that under the AFDC, a mother could, she could lose eligibility if she got married. And some rules treated the presence or income of a man in the household as a reason to remove benefits. That means the system could help a mother feed her children while also making marriage and male provision financially risky. And here's the thing, I don't remember if that also applied to 18-year-old sons, because I do remember when the child turned 18, they just put them out. And it might have to do with the fact that, and you guys could correct me on this if I'm wrong, it might have to do with the fact that even a boy, once he turns 18, he's got to go. Now the daughter, she can go out and have a child, and now they have more welfare checks coming in, you see? So this is what Bill Clinton gave us, all right? Now, what do we get under Barack Obama? Another Democrat president, right? Now, 96% of us voted for Barack. I did. I voted for him twice. I held out hope. You see, hope. Remember the hope? Somebody type hope in the chat room. 96% of black people voted for him in 2008. 93% of us voted for him in 2012. But it didn't, we loved him and we loved them kids. We loved Michelle and the kids. But he didn't return the love. We didn't get reparations. We didn't get federal police accountability. We didn't get we didn't close the racial wealth gap. The average white household wealth was 13 times that of a black household wealth in 2013. So even after historic turnout and historic loyalty, the wealth gap was still sitting there. And in 2010, President Barack Obama, he passed the Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare. Somebody type Obamacare in the chat room. All right. It expanded health care coverage, and it allowed states to expand Medicaid. And this did help reduce uninsured rate for all people. But health insurance coverage, listen to me, having health insurance coverage isn't the same as having full health equality. Did it help the infant mortality rate amongst Black women? Did it help the death rate of mothers among Black women? Did that help? No, because those racial health disparities still remain. There was no investigative committee into why is it that more Black women are dying while giving childbirth. Why is it? We didn't get any of that. Okay, we didn't get any laws associated with that. So, now we got to talk about Joe Biden, right? And this is the most recent Democrat president. Now, Joe Biden, 87% of Black people voted for him in 2020. And what did we get, right? We got the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act. That didn't become law. We got the George Floyd Justice in Policing Act. That didn't become law either. So we didn't get that. They faked us. And after Black people marched and voted and organized and delivered the most obvious responses, for accountability, i.e. voting rights and police accountability, both of them failed. But while Black specific demands died, the Biden administration oversaw one of the largest immigration surges in modern America. And you all were right there watching it with me. You saw them open the southern border, and you had literally hundreds of people flowing through our southern border. I've never seen anything like that in my entire life. Just people just walking up, people flying from up, they just walking up here, right? Did Joe not see it? Because I saw it. I saw it on all the news channels, right? Did you not see the buses? Did they not see? I saw it, and they didn't do anything about it. The Congressional Budget Office said immigration increased from 2021, and they said it was basically 8.7 million more people came through from 2021 through 2026, and before, and that's how many more came. If you compare that to before 2020, and so here's the thing, that's what we got, and they all ended up in the Black community. You see, they didn't put them to the successful, rich white neighborhood. They sent them over to us. So the thing is, so Black people, but here's the thing. We saw that the government moved real fast for those migrants, didn't we? Right? They couldn't move fast for Black Americans. And they haven't moved fast for us for generations. But in cities like Chicago and New York and Boston, it was a real issue because Black communities were already dealing with housing shortages and homelessness and crime and school problems and unemployment and decades of neglect. And then suddenly cities found the money. They found the money. Somebody type find the money. They found the money for migrant shelters and hotel and food cards and legal services and caseworkers and workforce help and emergency spending. In Chicago, you had 791 migrants had to be moved out of 5 Park District facilities so summer programs could be reopened. And in New York, the city spent $3.6 million on prepaid debit cards for about 2,600 migrant families. Massachusetts, they put up $251 million for shelter costs in 1 year, with up to $175 million more authorized for the following year, 2025. And this issue isn't whether migrants are human beings. We're not saying that. The issue is priority. You have Black tax-paying voters who've been asking for reparations and voting rights and police accountability and Black wealth agenda. We want safer neighborhoods, ownership programs, and we were told it was too expensive, it was too complicated, or just we can't do it, it's too politically impossible, the other side won't let us do it. But when millions of migrants arrived, suddenly the government found urgency and flexibility and shelter space and food support and money. I remember, they for years the NYPD was beating up black people. You have migrants literally fighting with the police, and they don't do anything except let them out. I'm just saying. You all remember that? So what did Biden give black voters after receiving our 87% of the vote? He gave us speeches. He gave us symbolism. He gave us Juneteenth, right? But he didn't give us the major federal protections we demanded. And while we were told to wait, these new people, they were given emergency attention, public resources in cities where black people had been living and struggling. That's an insult. And that's also betrayal. And see, nobody's saying the Democrats haven't done anything for black people. That's not what we're saying. They've done a lot. But the real question is, what have Democrat policies done for black people and to black people over time? Not whether it's helped somebody get through the month. The question is whether those policies created anything black people could own, protect, pass down to our children, or build on. Okay? You understand? Now, because everything that here's what I'm trying to say is, everything that fills you up is not necessarily food. Somebody can give you poison on a plate and you might feel full for a few hours, but eventually it weakens you, you get sick, and it kills you. And that's how black voters have started to look at Democrat policies. We can't just ask. We what did they give us? We have to ask, could we pass it down? Did it create land? Did it create equity, business? Did it create better families? Did it help us attain wealth? Because see, a government check can help you survive today while leaving your children with nothing tomorrow. A housing voucher can keep a roof over your head, but you never own the roof. And a benefit can solve a short-term problem, but ownership is the only thing that's going to resolve that dependency. And this is where black people have to be honest, coming out of the rural South and Jim Crow and poverty. And when I say black people, I'm talking about foundational black Americans, because I know other people have different histories and, we're different cultures, different experiences. So they have a different gaze on these things. But for black Americans, we had to deal with Jim Crow, poverty, exclusion, discrimination. Black people needed help. We needed access. We needed protection. We needed those programs that allow people to eat and live and receive medical care and survive. We needed those at the time. All right. Welfare served a purpose, but it was only supposed to be short term. All right. And nobody's denying that. But now we're far enough down the road to ask the harder questions. Did those policies lift us into ownership, or did they train us to depend on systems we don't control? When we look at the record, okay, the pattern seems to be pretty clear to me. The New Deal gave welfare. The Great Society expanded welfare, and urban renewal tore through black neighborhoods, and public housing concentrated black poverty in the same areas. Food stamps helped people eat, but it didn't build black-owned food systems, made Walmart rich, right? Medicaid expanded access, but it didn't close the health gap. Some of y'all out there right now got high blood pressure and diabetes. Yeah? What about Section 8? It helped pay the rent, but it didn't create ownership. TANF changed welfare rules, but it didn't rebuild the family, did it? The Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, it expanded coverage, but it didn't produce full health equality. And these policies didn't give black people tangibles. They replaced tangibles with benefits. And that's the trick. Somebody type trick in the chat room. Okay? Black people are asked for things that can be passed down: land, homes, businesses, capital, schools, safety, ownership, enforceable protection. But what have we been given instead? Okay? We got a check that ends. We have a voucher that expires. We have a benefit that depends on eligibility, and you can't have a man. All right? A program that politicians can change at any time, and a housing unit we don't own, that it also oftentimes comes with roaches. Is that true? In the projects, It's the truth. Somebody type German cockroach in the chat room. This is what they came with. Okay. So nobody's saying every one of these policies, nobody's saying every one of these policies was passed down by Democrats alone. I know I'm not saying that. Okay. That wouldn't be accurate. Some had Republican votes, some were bipartisan. And in 1996, the welfare reform was pushed heavily by the Republican Congress. But when we look at the big picture, the pattern is still clear. The welfare state model Black people were told to accept came mainly through Democratic presidents and Democratic Congresses and Democratic policy language. And so we're going to do a little history. I want y'all to, roll with me on this. It take me a while to get warmed up, but there's an end here. Okay, I'm going to land this plane. So let's talk a little bit about some facts, okay? In 1935, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, a Democrat, he signed the Social Security Act, and it created aid to dependent children, okay? And the bill came from Roosevelt's administration, and it was introduced by Democrat lawmakers. And in the House, 284 Democrats voted yes, and compared with 81 Republicans in the Senate, or should I say in the Senate, 60 Democrats voted yes, and compared to 16 Republicans. So that was a Democratic New Deal program with Republican support. In 1937, Roosevelt signed the United States Housing Act, and that it's also called the Wagner-Steagall. I mispronounced. We'll just call it the Steagall Act. I think that's Steagall. Steagall. It was sponsored by Senator Robert Wagner, a Democrat from New York, and the representative, Mr. Henry Steagall, a Democrat from Alabama. And it created a federal public housing system. And that wasn't Republican housing vision. That was the New Deal Democratic housing policy. Now, another president, Harry Truman, okay, he was a Democrat. This is 1949. And he signed the Housing Act of 1949, which pushed slum clearance, as they call it, or urban renewal. It was not, if you got, y'all do know that Harry Truman is my favorite, most racist president of the United States. Y'all do know that. I do have my favorites. That is my favorite, most racist president of all time. Okay, just so you all know. And the thing about Harry Truman, it was part of Truman's Fair Deal. And the Senate vote was 57-13 with 33 Democrats and 24 Republicans voting yes. So yes, it had Republican support, but the policy direction came from Truman's Democratic agenda, and Democrats had regained control of Congress after 1948. Now, who's my second most favorite racist president? Lyndon B. Johnson, second most favorite racist. He used to cuss and fart and have the bathroom door open. He'd let the N-words fly with the hard ER, okay? But he was a Democrat also from Texas, right? And he signed what was called the Economic Opportunity Act, and it was the centerpiece of what they call the War on Poverty. And this was Johnson's program. And in the Senate, it was passed 61-34 with 51 Democrats and 10 Republicans voting yes. And in the House, it passed 226 to 185 with 204 Democrats and 22 Republicans voting yes. So again, we're looking at this is a Democratic anti-poverty program. So now, are you starting to see a pattern here? All these welfare programs have a Democratic stamp on it. Okay, just so you understand. So in 1964, Johnson signed the Food Stamp Act. Y'all want to know where you got your food stamps from? Okay, 1964, President Johnson signed the food stamp. You remember we used to have them foods that y'all had a book of food stamp? Now y'all had them little cards and you could just pull it out your wallet like you got real money. You know what y'all doing. You just, back in the day, you had to pull them stamps. You had to pull that book out and give them to them, right? And everybody could see, oh, you got them food stamps. Right, let me get some, okay? But either way, it was introduced by Lenore Sullivan, a Democrat from Missouri, and it made food stamp program permanent. So again, that was a Democratic Great Society policy, and it helped people eat, okay? But it didn't create Black-owned grocery stores or Black-owned farms or Black-owned supply chains. So, we can move forward to Gerald Ford, 1974. He signed the Housing and Community Development Act, which created Section 8. Somebody type Section 8 in the chat room. All right. If it wasn't for Gerald Ford, you would not have your cousin's house to go hang out in downtown when you're trying to get over your hangover. Okay. You wouldn't. You wouldn't be there. But either way, that bill was introduced by Senator John Swarber. Shout out to G.Y. Green. Thank you for being the first person to contribute to the super chat. I'm glad you learned something. Let's get back to this work. But this vote, it ended up being, the votes were overwhelmingly bipartisan. It won 76-11 in the Senate, and it passed the House. So again, Ford signed it, but the housing policy framework came from Democratic congressional leadership. All right. And we already talked about Bill Clinton, 1996, TANF, the AFDC. So there's another policy. We talked about Barack Obama. We talked about Obamacare. So again, you can see, the conclusion is this: the survival program model, right? Here's some goodies. All that came from Democrats. Even when Republicans sometimes voted for it or helped reshape it, the Democrats sold those programs to Black people as compassion. Okay, this was justice. This was progress, and Republicans opposed them, but they compromised on them, or they later restructured them. But the Democrats are the party that made these programs central to their relationship with Black voters, and that's the indictment. Okay, Black folk asked for tangibles. We asked for things we could own, build, protect, and pass down. And what we got instead was welfare, public housing, food stamps, Medicaid, Section 8, dependency programs. And sometimes Republicans helped. Sometimes Republicans said, oh, hell no. They resisted. And sometimes Republicans changed the rules. But the Democrats built a political relationship around these benefits and then told Black people to treat those benefits as proof of progress. And that is the problem, okay? If you spend a lifetime on welfare, you don't have an inheritance to give. They gave us eligibility. They didn't give us ownership. They gave us assistance. They didn't give us power. They gave us programs. And that's what this new generation of Black people, most of whom are looking at my broadcast right now, that's what they see right now. Okay? They're not just asking whether Democrats gave us something. They're asking, what was that something? What did it actually do? What was it? We know you gave us something. What did you give us? Okay? Was it wealth? Was it welfare? Was it land? Or was it housing assistance? Shout out to MC O'Malley Leon. I'm just thinking about it. It's a lot of people to give you stuff that you wish they never gave you, huh? Come on now, let's talk about it. I gave you something, but I don't like what you gave me. You gave me this big head baby. I don't like you. You understand? Some of you all had some romantic liaisons. They gave you something, didn't they? And now you got to go down to the clinic and try to get that removed, but then you come to realize it's stuck with you forever. They gave you something. No, I gave you something, but I don't like that. Right? They gave us something, all right. And you got the Democrats talking about, look at what you gave us. No, look what we gave all you Democrats. Look at everything we gave you Black people. Right? But damn, we didn't want what you gave us. What did it turn into? Did it turn into wealth, or land, or businesses, or good neighborhoods, and stronger families, better schools, a longer lifespan? Did it turn into something that our kids can inherit? If the answer is no, then Black voters have to stop accepting substitutes. We've asked for tangibles. They gave us welfare. We've asked for ownership. They gave us vouchers. We asked for wealth. They gave us eligibility. We asked for protection. They gave us speeches. We asked for power. They gave us programs, government programs. And see, that's the deeper lesson. Black voters haven't failed democracy. Black voters have delivered for democracy. And the question is whether Democrats delivered anything black people can actually build on or control or pass down. And they didn't, and if they didn't, then why would this generation vote for more of the same policies? Now, let's go ahead and dig a little deeper, because I need you to understand, how the hell did this happen? Huh? How did this happen? I want everybody in the chat room within my listening ear to type how. Okay, just type how. How did it happen? How? Because many of us don't know how it happened. And I talked about this in some detail last night. See, here's the part we have to deal with directly. And I have some videos I want to share, but I got to lay this foundation so then you'll be able to put the videos in context. Look, what do all these Democrat policies have in common, family? Welfare, public housing, food stamps, free, Medicaid, free, Section 8, free, government benefits, free, government checks, free, government programs, government management, free. Somebody type free, free, free. They all reek of the same political odor. Socialism, entitlement, dependency, and the state control over you. Shout out to Black Abdullah. And they're not, this is not full-on communism I'm talking about. Okay? And I know I lost some of y'all. What the hell? Oh, where we going? I thought we was going to talk. Nah. Y'all thought I was going to come on here and you didn't know where this was going. It's not full-on communism, but it's pointing in that direction. They teach black people to look to the government first instead of your own black family. It tells you to rely on the government instead of starting your own black business. Go ahead and live in this Section 8 housing instead of having your own home. It tells you to wait for that government check instead of your community or your faith community or even self-determination. And the question we have to ask is this: how did the Democrat Party convince black people, a people who came up out of slavery, who dealt with Jim Crow like champions, who worked hard, how did they get us to become dependent on the government? How did they convince us that this was liberation? Shout out to Storyteller. Look, how did they convince the same black people who built thousands of churches around the country in a short period of time, millions of businesses and schools and farms and families? Do you know we had at one point 24 million acres? Was it 24 million acres of land? We had neighborhoods, we had colleges, we had entire communities with nothing. They didn't give it. We didn't get welfare then. And suddenly, right, we are now made to believe that our survival is dependent on these government programs. How did that happen? Shout out to conservative millennials. And see, it didn't happen by accident. I want y'all to listen carefully. I'm gonna go fast. If you want to really get some detail, listen to the broadcast I did last night. But it started with when they brainwashed black leadership. See, this happened between the 1920s and the 1970s. Many of your family members were alive. A significant number of black leaders pushed these socialist agendas in the black community. The black leader activists, the intellectuals, they were connected to the socialists and the communists and the Marxists and the anti-imperialist politics. Some of the people that we've grown up to love, right? Especially from the 1920s to the 1970s, W.B. Du Bois, Paul Robeson. He's an actor and singer. He's an activist. He strongly supported the Soviet Union. He was labeled a communist. Angela Davis. Y'all love Angela, you know, Afro, right? Black Power. She was an activist. She was an academic. She became a leader in the Communist Party, USA, in the 1960s and 70s. Most of y'all mamas was alive then. Huey P. Newton, Bobby Seale. These are co-founders of the Black Panther Party. We look up to them, don't they? They adopted anti-imperialistic socialist ideas, right? Eldridge Cleaver, Black Panther leader. He connected to the Marxists and the Leninists and the Maoists and their ideology. Fred Hampton, Black Panther leader who was described himself as a Marxist and a Leninist and and organized the Rainbow Coalition. Stokely Carmichael, we know him as Kwame Ture, Black power leader who connected Black American politics to a global imperialistic movement. And Black people, and let me help you. How did they do this, man? How did they just come in out of nowhere? Well, see, first of all, you have to understand something. During that time period, Black people were righteously angry at racist America's hypocrisy and how our people had been treated. On one hand, you got America preaching freedom, and on the other hand, you got Black people still being denied full citizenship. America preached democracy, allegedly, fighting wars for freedom across the world, sending our Black behinds with them to places like Vietnam, World War I, World War II, Korea, right? America preached democracy while our people were facing segregation, violence, discrimination, and poverty in the North and the South. But see, that anger, and I want y'all to listen to me now, that anger that we had, it made us vulnerable. See, you had leaders, we were vulnerable to the ideas coming from America's foreign enemies. And at the time, the main foreign enemies were the communist parties. You have the Soviet Union, which is now known as Russia, followed by the revolutionary communist movements in China and Cuba and Vietnam. And they exploited America's racism to sell Black leaders the lie that capitalism, okay, it's that capitalism. That's the problem. And American democracy, that's your real enemy. Even though the communists and the socialist systems, they also practiced anti-Black racism and had poverty and oppression and censorship and brutality of their own. But nevertheless, Black people were already mad. So, okay, so it's communist. You mean America's the problem? Yeah, communism. This is America's enemies telling American citizens through their leadership, you need to be mad at America, even though they have the same problems over there. But nevertheless, as I said, Black people are already mad. And that's where socialism and communism was able to enter Black political discussion. So socialism, for you all who don't know, here's just a quick summary of it. Socialism is a political and economic system that suggests that the government should control major parts of the economy so the resources can be redistributed more equally amongst all the people, okay? It usually focuses on reducing the gap between the rich and the poor, right? Trying to make it fair. Sounds good, right? Somebody type sounds good in the chat room, right? It expands the public benefits and increases the government's control over things that are very important, like healthcare, housing, education, wages, industry. And it treats economic outcomes as something that the state should manage. See, the promise of socialism is fairness and equality and protection for working people. Sounds good. Sounds real good. But see, here's the danger. It weakens private ownership and it punishes success. No matter how well you do as a doctor or a lawyer, you still only gonna make as much as that taxi cab driver who didn't even go to school. The other thing is it creates dependency. That's what happened in Venezuela. They put all those people on those free checks, and then they stopped paying them checks. They got mad. You understand? Another thing is it reduces personal responsibility. Why do I need to work? I should never have to work. The government's going to send a check. The entitlement. But the most important thing is it gives the government entirely too much power over people's lives. They can tell you who you can have in your house. They can tell you where you can go and so on and so forth. Now, communism is a little different. It's a political and economic system where the government or the ruling party controls property, industry, production, and resources in the name of creating a classless society. Everybody's equal, right? Okay, it sounds good, right? Somebody type sounds good. Sounds real good, doesn't it? Sounds good. Wouldn't that sound good to Black people back then? Because, but it sounds good. And see, here's the thing. Black people looked across the tracks because, they had us segregated. And we looked across the tracks and we saw how wild them white folks was living with the money and the land and the businesses and the better schools and the safer neighborhoods and the wealth. And meanwhile, we over here on the other side of the track, we working hard and paying taxes and serving in wars and building the country up and still being denied equal access to what America promised. So when socialism came along, talking about fairness and redistribution, you mean gonna take these white folks stuff and give it to us? Shit, y'all, that sounds great. Yeah. So, they're like equality. That's what we've been fighting for. You mean the government is going to help us? The same racist government that's been with all these policies? It sounded good. Somebody type sound good in the chat room. I could see myself in 1935, 1940 saying, damn, them white folk living pretty good. So, but you're saying that we become socialists. I can take the white man's mule. He got two. I can get one. Damn, sounds good. Somebody type sounds good in the chat room. Socialism sounding really good, right? Right. And so you have black leaders and activists saying, yeah, right. Sound like a way to force America to pay what it had owed black people. Doesn't that sound good, right? And so these ideologies became wrapped in the language of justice and equality and liberation and revolution. We're going to turn things upside down. Somebody type sound good in the chat. Sounds good. Sound good at the time. Sound good at the time. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Sound good at the time. There's a lot of things that sound good at the time, depending on what time it is. It's 2:15 in the morning, and you just came out the club and you're a little tipsy, right? And you sitting in the car with somebody you just met. Y'all don't have no protection, but the music is playing, and you got that brown in you. You've been smoking a little bit of that fire, right? You got that fire in you, and so you might get an indecent proposal in the back seat. Let's go on, hop in the back seat. Somebody type, sounds good. Somebody type, sounds good, right? You've been drinking all day. You went to the brunch, hanging out, ladies. You ain't got you done broke up with your man. Sounds good, right? Sounds good. Sounds good. At the time, right? That's what black people sounds good. Sounds like a good idea. It sounded like the answer to oppression. Right? Sound like a good. Then you pop up with a baby in the case of herpes, right? That's what happened in the back seat. That's what happened to us politically. It sound good. That's what socialism did to black people. Okay? That's what it did. Because it sounded good, but beneath that language was the dangerous idea. It was that capitalism was the enemy, that private ownership was oppression, and government control was liberation. But the problem is that socialism didn't teach us how to own what was across the tracks. We didn't teach us how to get what the white man got. It taught us to wait for the same racist government to redistribute the wealth that the white folk had. And that was the trap. And we've been waiting. But see, let's slow down. Let's be serious. Let's be serious. Let's ask some serious questions. If capitalism was the enemy, as socialism says, or communism said, how did black people build all those black towns and businesses and black churches and black schools and black newspapers and black farms and black institutions? They did that under the worst conditions in American history. And they didn't give us anything. We earned that. We got that through capitalism. We came out of slavery. We know how to build everything. We knew how to work the land because that's all we had been doing. We built all the buildings. We didn't have anything, but we had the skill set and we had the knowledge. So we were able to build communities and we owned those communities and we had enterprise and we had faith and family. We had got together and got up with we had our own social organizations, our own mutual aid organizations. We helping each other out. And so these black business districts flourished across the country. Examples of black economic self-help and community power. That is communism. Not. That is straight up capitalism. Now, they told black leaders America itself was the enemy, but black people have been practicing military service-based patriotism for generations. What that means is we served in all the wars. We might not have had money. We couldn't run for Congress. There was a short time period during Reconstruction where we could, but for the most part, that's how we showed our patriotism. We fought for the country. We didn't fully fight. They didn't even fully fight for us. And eventually the service forced America to confront its own hypocrisy. And in 1948, President Harry Truman, again, my favorite, most racist president of all time here in America, this most racist president of all time signed Executive Order 9981, which basically ordered equal treatment for all soldiers and military personnel in the country, right? You see? So even a country filled with racism and with a racist president, did y'all know that Harry Truman was a member of the KKK? Did y'all know that? He was a judge in Missouri and a member of the Ku Klux Klan. And this man was the one that integrated the military with an executive order or put us on the road to that. That's why he's my most favorite racist president of all time. You understand me? But but anyway, I talked about that before one day. But the bottom line is, he realized, and the rest of these folk realized, the Black Americans had earned the right to full citizenship through our sacrifice and our service and our blood. And still, these socialist and communist ideas were able to convince our Black leaders that private ownership was oppression. Well, what about the stuff we own private? You mean grandma's house is oppression? But granddaddy paid for that. How's that? I want y'all to make that make sense. I want you to think about how backwards that is. Black people had come out of slavery after being owned, but owning nothing. Then through struggle and hard work and sacrifice against all odds, we start owning stuff in businesses and churches and schools and farms and cars and land and Black farmland ownership. Like I think I said, 16 to 19 million acres by 1910. That's like 4 states. I think it's like New Jersey, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, and Connecticut. That's how much land we own. That wasn't oppression. That was 40 years out of slavery, and we own that much land. That was the beginning of inheritance. That was something our children could have built on. But socialism told our Black leaders the government should control those resources and redistribute the wealth and become the main provider. And then, and when you really think about it, that sounds like reinstalling the same slave plantation structure Black people had just escaped. Think about that. Under the slavery system, the master owned everything. The master controlled the resources. The master decided who got to live with you and where you live. The master was your provider. So how do we go from escaping that system to letting Democrat politicians sell us a new version of dependency dressed up like reparative justice? And see, that's the contradiction. On one hand, you got these Black radical leaders from the 1920s and 1950s saying that we're fighting the government. Somebody type revolution in the chat room. We fighting the government revolution. They said that we're fight the power. Somebody type fight the power. They said America was oppressive. But on the other hand, they wanted the same government, the same oppressive racist government to feed us, house us, fund us, and manage us, and then redistribute the resources to us. Make that make sense for me. You can't say the racist government is your enemy on one hand, and then say the same, you want the same racist government to turn around and be your father. And see, that's where some of these Black leaders, these educated leaders, fell short. Okay, they had the language, it sounded good. They wrote the books, they had the books, they had the revolutionary slogans. They had the anti-capitalist theory. They let us know, yeah, this is institutional racism and blah, blah, blah. But we had all that. But see, they missed the basic common sense of survival. A people who don't own anything can't afford to be talked out of ownership. And the people who just escaped dependency can't afford to be sold new dependency. See, people who built churches, towns, and farms and businesses and families by ourselves should not or can't afford to trade all of that in for some government program controlled by some politician. Nevertheless, some of the most influential leaders accepted that worldview. As I mentioned them before, W.B. Du Bois, Paul Robeson, all the Black Panthers, they accepted socialism and communism as the future of Black liberation. Somebody type fight the power in the chat room. And that gave the Democratic Party a perfect opening. You see? So once the black leadership start teaching our people that the government dependency was the justice we should seek, then the Democrats could then slide in and come along with welfare and public housing and food stamps and Medicaid and Section 8 and government benefits and call that progress. And see, that's the trap. And see, that's the trap that you black people are now waking up from. You see? But that's how we went from being a do-for-self, builder, service-based, patriot group of people to anti-American entitlement, victim mentality politics. See, before that ideological shift, black people could criticize America and still believe we can make it in America because we see it happening. We fought in the wars, we built communities, we demanded equal rights. We said this country owes us because we helped build it. That's called critical patriotism. It wasn't blind loyalty. It was ownership. It was the belief that America belonged to us because of our hard work, blood service, sacrifice, and we're already buried in the foundation. And we just now getting back to that. That's why a lot of black people are calling themselves foundational black Americans. Because you're starting to recognize, hey, we have ownership here. We are indigenous to this country. All throughout my youthful life, all the black people always say, yeah, this is not our country. This ain't our country. This we not, you hear it all the time. This land ain't for us. That's why you have people, after this was going on, you had people convincing black people of the black belt ideology that we need to go back. We need our own land. We need to go back. And then Marcus Garvey stepped in and would say, you need your own land, but not here in America. You can go back to Africa. This is why you start feeling like you don't belong in the country you've been in for 500 years. Explain that. Most of you black people watching this broadcast right now who are foundational black Americans, your ancestry predates the white people that you see on a daily basis. Most of those folks showed up at Ellis Island in 1910 and 1905 and 1915. Your people have been here since the 1700s. And yet they have been able to convince you that you don't belong. Make that make sense. Explain that to me. How does that work? You got blood, sweat, tears, blood capital. You got military service in your ancestry. And some of y'all, most of y'all relatives are white. So how is it that you don't belong here? How is it that you allow these group of immigrants, tethers and immigrants from Italy and Ireland that just got here, how did you allow them to convince you of that? I'm just asking. I'm just asking. How did you allow them to do that? Huh? Now, see, after socialism and communism entered into black political thought, the message changed. It became less about claiming America and more about rejecting America. It became less about building inside the system and more about tearing the system down. And capitalism became the enemy. It was a dirty word. Private ownership became exploitation. Success became suspicious. Y'all don't like your elite now. Somebody type talented 10th in the chat room. Talented 10th is a cuss word in the black community. Success became suspicious. It will become suspicious to somebody who believes that everything's supposed to be redistributed. But the most important thing, America became irredeemable. The government dependency started being sold as justice. And that became the perfect opening for the Democrat Party. Once black leaders accepted the idea that the government was supposed to be the main provider, somebody typed Zaddy, government was supposed to be Zaddy and you were supposed to be the sugar baby. Democrats had a perfect political product to sell, welfare. Oh yeah, public housing, food stamps, Medicaid, Section 8. Every other benefit dressed up as justice. They didn't have to give us ownership. They didn't have to give us land. They didn't have to give us capital. They didn't have to give us business opportunities. They didn't have to give us any darn thing we could pass down to our children. So they gave us programs and called it progress. And a few black politicians got rich and famous pushing those policies. Again, that's the trick. Socialism doesn't have to show up wearing a Soviet red flag. Communism doesn't have to dress up in a Chinese military uniform. It can show up as a benefit card or a housing voucher or become a government check or a program that helps you survive while making sure you never own anything. It shows up as compassion, but it quietly replaces independence with dependency. And this is where the contradiction becomes obvious. See, these same radical leaders said they were fighting they're fighting the government. They say that we're saying fight the power. They say America's oppressive, but at the same time, they demand these same racist, fascist government. They basically say, yeah, but we're your sugar baby, though. That ain't how sugar babying works. You can't be mean to your sugar daddy. Okay? They wanted to fight the system while asking the system to feed and house and fund and manage folk. That doesn't make sense. You can't say the government is your enemy and then ask the same government to become a big zaddy government. You can't do that. You can't say America's evil and then ask America to manage your survival. But see, that's how Black America got politically redirected. You see? They preach revolution while building an entire political program around free government welfare checks and benefits. You understand? We went from being builders to being trained and to being dependent. We fresh out of slavery. We didn't have much, but we had a builder's mindset. We were not waiting for somebody to save us. We were building with what we had. And see, the thing you need to understand, family, you know, once people stop building, they start begging. They got this radical socialist framing that taught us to see capitalism as evil or suspicious. Okay? We stopped owning things. They didn't have to do anything for all they had to do was manage us. And this is exactly what happened. Democrats didn't give Black people power. They gave us programs. They didn't give us ownership. They gave us assistance. So the question for this generation is simple. Why would we keep voting for more of the same failed policies? Why would we keep supporting a political party that keeps selling government dependency as Black progress? Why would we keep depending on ideology that turned a people who were building into a program group that is managed? And see, the issue isn't whether Democrats have gave people something. They did. They gave us something, all right. We know what they gave us, but we do know they didn't give us wealth. They didn't give us safer communities or stronger families. And see, these powers, these Black empowerments, that was socialist style dependency programs dressed up as compassion, and Black people fell for it. And it because we were mad and we were disappointed at the time. And too many of our leaders who have been brainwashed sold this to us as liberation. Remember, this is right in the wake of Red Summer when they burnt up all our stuff that we had built. You understand what I'm saying? So we were mad. Y'all understand? We were righteously mad. But they took advantage of that. So I have some videos I want to share with you all. And you guys make sure you hit the number 1 button if you can hear them clearly. Big shout out to everybody who's contributed to the super chat, the Cash App, and I think I saw some super chats come in here. Did I see some super chats? I think I saw them come up in here. But let's go ahead and play a couple of videos. You guys hit the number 1 button, and we will proceed with the video playing. I'm gonna go ahead and well, let's just talk. Again, I'm not the only one that feels this way. I want y'all to check out some of these videos. You got a lot of Black people from this younger generation who are looking at what's going on, and they're like, nah, I'm not really feeling that. Let's check out this right here. I thought this was pretty funny.
Martha! Did you hear what happened? Well, damn, child.
Say we got somebody else that's gonna be on our side.
I do declare.
He got a strong name, powerful name. His name Gavin Newsom. That's right. He was talking to a bunch of Negroes the other day, and he said he just like us. He can't read nor write either. That's what he said. And if he gets in there, we might have somebody that can do more things for us.
We might get us a big house. If you what you say, yeah. Now, is it that good for you?
Don't you talk like that.
Oh, family.
Overseer Obama might hear you. And you know he's don't want us to have the things that the rest of the overseers have. If you go around there and tell Big Master.
Somebody type Democrat plantation in the chat room. Somebody type Democrat plantation in the chat room.
So what he heard you say, then, you know, if they don't like what you say, they got a way of making sure don't nobody hear you no more.
I knows it.
You got to be careful. Now, Martha, you get on away from around here with that kind of foolish talk. Now, go on, now get. I love you here, but you just can't say stuff like that. Not around here. Come on around the back later after the sun and set all the way, and we can talk more about it.
All right. Love you, family.
I love you here. All right, child. Yes, indeed.
So again, you know, this is just making fun of the fact that black people seem to be stuck on the Democrat plantation. Okay, in other words, I mean, we vote blue no matter who. No, we are, no matter what's happening, we are going to vote blue. You see what I'm saying? And so, you know, it's just kind of teasing. But you got black people who are realizing I'm not doing what my ancestors did. So let's look at another video. I have one more from that young lady. But we'll look at another video. You guys make sure you can hear it. Check this out. I got this one right. I got another one for you.
Johnson, Tuesday,
Come on.
at that PBC meeting. And that's a small room.
Come on.
That room is half the size of this.
Wow.
And he's like right there. And I made it clear to him that you getting ready for this DNC, and all eyes is on this DNC.
Yes.
Well, know this, Mayor Brand Johnson, Black Chicago.
Now, just so I can go ahead and explain the basis. So this is in Chicago. And as you guys remember, during the Joe Biden's reign as president, you had a lot of immigrants who were bused to Chicago from Texas by a governor that wanted to pay them. And these folks landed, all these people landed in the inner city in Chicago. And so you got a lot of angry Chicagoans mad, and they're taken to the streets and they're going to city council meetings, and they're letting their voices be heard. So this is what's going on here. So this is just one of those things. We'll keep watching.
It's going to pick up just where it left off. This DNC don't mean nothing.
Come on now.
We done already told you what it is that we want. We done already told you what's important.
Come on.
And we done already told you we black out here.
Come on.
We not running with no black and brown coalition, because brown getting the money and black ain't getting nothing but the black being used of us and our stats being used.
Come on now.
That's right.
So I encourage everybody that you think about how we love each other. And that's how when you fall out with one another,
Come on.
you able to lay it aside.
That's right.
Because there is no argument that I can have with anybody in this house that's going to surpass me loving my brother.
Come on now.
Me loving my
Come on,
sisters.
sis.
So I want to encourage us to keep praying, keep moving, keep working. I don't care what it look like. I don't care who get in office. We black out here. And it's black first.
Have it there. P1, baby.
Come on now. That's my
P1.
Woo!
Right.
Boy.
Got to hit that.
Now, you know, years back, it was I would say it was darn near blasphemous. It was blasphemy to say anything bad about the Democrat Party. It was horrible. You couldn't say anything bad about the Democrat Party. But now you have a lot more people coming out and speaking against what they see is basically the Democrat Party trying to abandon black people for Latinos, because we've played out our usefulness, I guess, and we've become too difficult. But let's go ahead and look at some more videos. They'll get a little bit more intense as we get further along. You guys make sure that you can hear this clearly. I got another one here for you. I'll play. This is Kamala Harris getting heckled. Take a listen to this.
I know it's a bit controversial, but here's how I feel about this. You know how I was talking earlier about how people are so transactional? I think we need to be transactional voters. Yes, it is right when we are trying to get folks to register to vote and to go vote, and it is absolutely right that we remind everyone of our history, especially when they're trying to erase it. We remind people of the bloodshed on the Edmund Pettus Bridge, the sacrifice of those young people at the lunch counter, the assassination of Dr. King. There are so many things that we must remember about history that compels us to vote, includes not only our civic duty, but honoring the ancestors. Yes, and here's what I'm suggesting in addition. Get yours.
So now what you're saying is obviously these folk are realizing that they're realizing that the vote blue no matter who, we're not going to get anything, is not working anymore, and they need to go ahead and give up some tangibles. And so now you have this major candidate saying we need to give you tangibles. It's okay to be transactional, which is a huge shift from just, vote for us and don't ask for anything. Let's keep listening.
Vote and say, I'm voting because I expect something out of this. You're not going to take for granted that I'm going to vote because I'm a good citizen and it's my civic duty to vote, so that you don't even worry about whether you're producing what I need because, we can count on them to vote because they remember the Edmund Pettus Bridge. I'm saying it's okay to also give people permission to be transactional and to say, if you're going to get my vote, this is what I expect. I'm going to vote because I expect to get something out of this. I'm going to get mine by voting. That's what I would offer. I think it's okay to give people permission to be transactional voters.
Now we have her permission to be transactional. So you have Kamala Harris's permission to ask for tangibles. Let me tell you a trick about leadership. Leaders are taught that you figure out where the people are going, and then you pretend as though you're in agreement with them, and then you jump out in front of them and you lead them where they want to go, so you say, but eventually you lead them right back to where you want them to be. And so that's what you see is happening. So she's going to pretend like she's the leader of the people. She's going to pretend like she's down with the people. And then what's going to happen is we'll end up right back on the Democrat plantation. So that's just an old trick, and I don't think we're going to fall for it. Let's go ahead and take a look at some more videos. But again, what you see is the rhetoric of the Democrat Party changing, because the truth is they have some issues. All right, they have some serious issues because Black people are not really listening to them anymore. They're the Democrats that they tried to trade us in. The Latinos that they tried to trade us in for are not quite coming along like they expected, and so now they have a problem. Okay, it's a real problem, and Black folks are calling them out for it, and they don't really know exactly what to do, but kind of resort to the old tricks. The old shaming is not working anymore. Okay, let's take a listen to this.
Black women, particularly if she's a lesbian, they promote Black women who are not even qualified. We have seen with the diversity, equity, and inclusion, which is really racism, which is really saying, well, Black people just aren't, they're not smart enough, so we have to give them handouts. And you're pushing Black women who are not qualified. Dr. Claudine Gay of Harvard. Now the head of diversity at Harvard is also accused, if I have it correctly, of plagiarism. And we'll get to Fannie Willis, who was elected as a DA in Fulton County, Georgia, primarily because she's black, in my opinion. And we've seen case after case. But the black man, where is he? That's done deliberately. And it started really in the 60s, where the Democrats pushed policy, right, that said to women, particularly black women, you don't need a man in the home. We'll give you more money if you're single. They're promoting black women and want black men to be down here. And I think black men said.
So this sister is saying the same thing. This sister is saying the same thing that we discussed earlier. They are promoting black men. They're promoting black women. They're pushing these socialist policies, and what they're designed to do is basically separate the black family, and they separate the black. Well, I don't know if they were designed to do it, but that's what happened. And at this particular juncture, black people are starting to call them on it. Let's keep listening.
That, and they know that Trump relates to them. They relate to Trump very well. Barack Obama was a plant. He did nothing for the black community. Nobody even knows who he is. Did he ever come back to Chicago with as much crime? He didn't care. That gave rise to Trump, because Trump actually listened to us. He actually cares. Barack Obama didn't give a damn. He should have never been elected. Before he was elected in 2000, he got elected in 2008. My mother sent, may God rest her soul, letters to black churches, warning them about Barack Obama, saying he was so ungodly. I said, Mom, that's harsh. She wrote it anyway. And everything my mother said, may God rest her soul, was right. He hates this country, but he wants to live off the fat of the land. Like the founders of Black Lives Matter. They don't give a damn about black people. They didn't have to spend one dime to help build a black business. But these lesbians, they bought homes in predominantly white neighborhoods. See, they say they hate capitalism, but they love to use us and live off of capitalism, while they spout an anti-God, anti-America rhetoric.
Did you hear what she said? Anti-God, anti-American rhetoric. Again, this all comes from those between 1920 and 1970s, all of that anti-American rhetoric. This was not an issue that we had before. Okay, just so you all know, this is not an issue that black people had before. It wasn't until those communist leaning, shout out to Mech Malice, I appreciate you, MC Mal. Let's go ahead and get another video pulled up. You guys make sure that if you have not subscribed already, that you go ahead and subscribe. Matter of fact, you know what? I need you all to take the opportunity, okay, to do what you got to do. Okay, you all need to help me get to where I need to get. There's nearly 1,000 people in this broadcast, okay, and I need you all to take the opportunity right now, because YouTube probably has unsubscribed you once or twice. Okay, so I need you to take the opportunity to subscribe to the channel right now. Do it right now, so I don't have to keep yelling and screaming like I am, running up my blood pressure. Shout out to everybody who's contributed to Super Chat. I'm glad 15 people learned something. I wish more people had learned something, but we're not finished, but maybe some of you all will learn something. But again, I appreciate you guys. But before we get to this superstar, I need you all to make sure you hit the subscribe button if you hadn't already. I don't know if you all have. I have not had an opportunity to check and see if you hit the subscribe button, but I'm looking now. I'm going to look right now to see if you good people care about me enough to hit the subscribe button and help me, okay? Because at this point, it's about me. It's about me getting to 100,000 subscribers. And it's taking a long time. I'm just saying, I feel like I should be there by now. As people, I need some more people to subscribe. I need approximately 66 people. Well, no, hold on. I need 63 people to subscribe to the channel right now, and that will get me to 95,000. Okay, I need 63 people to subscribe to the channel. Okay. I need 63 people. Somebody type 63 in the chat room. Chantel Smith, I need you to subscribe to the channel. Dwight Chair, I need you to subscribe to the channel. Okay, who else is in here? Jelena Taborn, I need all y'all to go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Don't hate watch. Okay, don't have me up here forehead sweating, talking to you all about history, trying to make it interesting. I need all of y'all to subscribe to the channel right now. Don't play me. I'm not here for the games. I need my subscriptions to go up. I want a little gold plaque on my wall behind my head. Okay? Do me a favor, subscribe to the channel. If you have already subscribed to the channel, double check, because YouTube plays these vicious games with me. I need 58 people to subscribe to the channel to get me where I need to be. Okay, 58. Somebody type 58. In addition to that, make sure you like, share, subscribe if you appreciate what I'm doing. All right, welcome, and I hope you all heed that warning, okay? Because if you all don't subscribe to the channel, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn the subscriber only can talk, and I'm gonna mute you non-subscribers. So go ahead and do what you gotta do, okay? And I need my napkin or something because my forehead is getting a little shiny. Praise Moses. Well, anyway, let's go ahead and get back to the task at hand. I want to make sure that we get this work in, get these lessons learned. Are you learning something? I see we do this. Shout out to Philly to Don. I appreciate all you guys who are working with me. So let's go on head on back. Listen to this lady, okay?
Party is crumbling. Oh, they're crumbling. Oh, they're crumbling. See, CNN and MSNBC, they're not going to show you this. But the Democratic Party, because how I know the Democratic Party is crumbling, because look at the tweets and stuff that the congressmen and the stuff they put out is stupid. Okay? They have no policy. They have no leader. They have no morals. The things that they fight for they're stupid, okay? Trans kids, and they're dying on that hill. You understand what I'm saying? But they're crashing out. Look at Barack talking about his wife thinking about Trump or worrying about Trump is causing problems with him and Michelle.
No. Sir, you telling me, Barack, you telling me that Michelle is thinking about Trump while she with you, man? Brother, what's happening, man? You gotta step the game up, man. You got Michelle is out there. Why would you even share that on the internet, brother? You know what I'm saying? You gotta do better than that, man. You can't put all your business out there in the street. Your wife is thinking about Donald Trump. That's what you're telling us, sir. That's not even something that's personal business. You need to make sure y'all keep that to yourself, man. Don't put that out there like that, man. Okay, we'll go. But this sister is telling it. She's telling it. Let's go ahead and let her finish talking. Don't put your business out in the street like that, Barack. Don't do that. Go ahead. Let's go.
We've got other people talking about they're leaving the country. They don't know what they're going to do. They're saying all kind of crazy stuff. And here's the thing. This is the time that we fight the hardest, okay? Because when a person or an organization knows that they're losing, they're going to do everything in their power to win. Everyone, here's the things I want you guys to be prepared for, just in case.
Now look, she started playing that music, and I don't want to get this demonetized, but you heard the point that was made. Okay, you heard the point that was made, and it looks like to me, I agree, the Democrats are shook. And the reason they shook is because they hadn't quite figured out what the play is going to be. They expected to regain power during the midterms, and it seems not to be working like that. You see what I mean? So they refuse to give us any tangibles. You know, they're not going to give us any tangibles. I don't understand that. That's crazy. You would rather lose power than give back black people wealth and land and the things that will help us grow and develop as a people. Somebody type do better in the chat room. Do better, Democrats. Do better. Let's go ahead and go and take a listen to some more folk talking. Black people giving the Democrats the blues. That's what this is.
People weren't supporting en masse the immigrants. Yeah. I said, you mean the illegals?
Was she trying to do the black people were immigrants too?
She did. And I said, no, man, we were imports. Okay? It's a big ass difference.
It sure is. Yeah, don't try to lump us in with everybody. We are our own distinct people. We have our own distinct heritage. And most black people, even if they don't call themselves FBA or indigenous black people, when they say African American, they still mean that we are a different group of people. So don't try to lump us in with everybody else. Let's keep listening.
For the Democrats, because they have allowed them to usurp black leadership in our community, male leadership. And so they get a reinforcement from the media, they get reinforcement from the Democrat Party, and so they are easily manipulated into voting for Democrats. And that's where the spiritual element comes in. The Bible says, see to it that no one takes you captive through philosophy, empty deceptions, according to the traditions of men, and the
I mean, you even got the preachers turning against the Democrat Party. When was that ever supposed to happen? That was never supposed to happen. You got the preachers turning against the Democrat Party. That ain't supposed to happen like that. But let's let them finish praying. Somebody type of hallelujah in the chat room.
Elementary principles of the world rather than according to Jesus Christ. Colossians chapter 2, verse 8.
Y'all look that up. Make sure the pastor. You ever been to a church and the pastor cite the wrong passage and you look it up and can't find it? You all on Google, on your cell phone, trying to figure out what did the pastor say. But again, that's another situation where you have an example of people talking about, calling the Democrat Party out for the things they did. And one of the things they did was emasculate black men and empower black women. Okay. And, basically shoo us to the side. And the brothers are like, nah, I'm good. Why would I vote for a political party that is treating me like a second-class citizen, even for my black women? That's not cool. And actually, that's not the only person to mention that. Y'all check this out. There's another one that talks about that same topic.
This shit I'm talking about. This is comical. So Gabrielle Union says weak black men use the 2024 election to get revenge on strong black women because they resent them. This the shit we gotta deal with. And this is why we have to continue to come out and vote red to crush these bitches. You know what I'm saying? It's already happening.
I ain't gonna go that far, sir. I'm not gonna go that far. What I will say is that, if you find yourself in a situation where your issues don't align with the Democrat or Republican Party or the Green Party, vote your interest. That's all I say. But you have entertainers like this trying to personalize it and make it seem like this is black men versus black women, as opposed to, black men just don't agree with those issues or don't are not falling hook, line, and sinker for the Democrat propaganda anymore. Again, I tell people all the time, vote your interest, vote your interest, vote your interest. Don't ever say I told you to vote for this candidate or that candidate. That's not where I'm at. You all are free people, and I respect you enough to tell you that I don't know what's in your best interest. You know what's in your best interest. I'm not here to tell you what to vote for, how to vote for, what you think is in your best interest. I will suggest, if you are a member of a union and you're pro-union, and you probably should vote Democrat. But I would also suggest that if you are a small business owner and you want to pay low taxes and keep a low minimum wage, then you need to vote Republican. And for those of you who are not happy with either one of the candidates, then you could sit home. That's you expressing yourself. That is you voting your interest, or in that case, not voting at all, which is in your interest. I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm not here to tell you what to think. I'm here to challenge you. I'm here to present information to you to will force you to have to reevaluate and become more savvy, more politically astute people. Okay, I target my broadcast, the Foundation of Black Americans, but everybody's listening. I can tell by the hate watchers. Shout out to all the hate watchers. Hey, hate watchers. I can tell everybody's listening. Okay, so I'm gonna let the brother finish speaking.
Happening. It's already happening. We gotta put these bitches back in their motherfucking place and continue.
Okay. I'm not really interested in putting anybody back in their place, man. I'm just like really trying to keep my taxes low. If Kamala Harris was going to keep my taxes low, I'd have voted for Kamala Harris. If we had an alien come from outer space and land in the middle of Forest Lawn Cemetery, okay, and he ran for president and said he would keep my taxes low, he would have my vote. That's where I'm at, okay? I'm not loyal like that. I am clearly, now I'm a registered Democrat. I'm still registered as a Democrat, okay? But, okay, if you want to know who I'm voting for, I'm voting for my interest. That's what I'm voting for. Now I'm going to go ahead and let this brother go on about his business because we are family friendly over here. And I hate that I have to continue to remind you all how family friendly we are. Again, the people who've been here for a while know that I need you all to type family friendly in the chat room so we can keep this monetized. Okay? That's how we counteract the profanity and cuss words. Type family friendly in the chat room. Everybody type family friendly. You know YouTube is watching. Type family friendly in the chat room. And if we keep saying family friendly, then the algorithm will say, oh, that must have been, he couldn't have said the MFer because this is family friendly. I got 1,000 family friendlies to, one, F-bomb. So it must be family friendly. So this is how we balance. Somebody type fair and balanced in the chat room. This is how we stay fair and balanced up in here. Thank you all. I appreciate. Look at all these beautiful people. Look at all these family friendlies up in here. Yeah, that's what I do. Uncle D has figured this out. But anyway, let's go ahead. Hopefully we don't have anybody else cussing us out. You guys hit the number one button. Let's go on to the next video. Let's keep looking. Keep on looking.
Bitter, but we have to swallow it. The Democratic Party, I voted for over 20 years of my life. I voted for Barack Obama when he said he was going to bring hope and change. And yes, we can. And no, we didn't. The jobs didn't come. The better schools didn't come. The investment in our communities did not come. National security, our borders are open. We're not safe. We're not safe. And we've got to stop thinking as black and white and purple and Arab. We've got to start thinking as Americans. And that's what Donald Trump is saying. We're Americans, America first.
You have to remember, Donald Trump is the head of Trump Organization. And when you look into that organization, it is filled with blacks, whites, Hispanics, Arabs, Asians. It's different religions.
Don't y'all like the music? That's like they're about to score a touchdown or something like that. I love the horn.
Religions, different creeds.
Yeah, okay. Well, okay. Thank you so much. She's part of the Trump fan club. That's cool. That's very kind of her. But bottom line is, y'all remember Donald Trump was a racist all the way. He's been a racist ever since he started running for and this is just kind of another little thing I found very interesting. The Democrats turned Donald Trump into a racist after him being this, great guy from New York. So much so that people like Jesse Jackson gave him an award. I want y'all to check out this. See if I can pull this up real quick. Hold on. I can pull it up. Let me pull this in. That Jesse Jackson said. You guys check this out, okay?
And when we opened this Wall Street project and we talked about it, we gave us space at 40 Wall Street, which was to make a statement about our having a presence there. And beyond that, in terms of reaching out and being inclusive, he's done that too. And created for many people a comfort zone when I ran for the presidency in 84 and 88. And many others thought it was either laughable or something to avoid. He came to our business meeting here in New York because he has this sense of yes. The people last year
Okay. So you see, Jesse Jackson had great things to say about Donald Trump all the way up until he started running as a Republican. And that's not uncommon. So, you know, again, family, and you guys have to understand that, you know, it seems to me that there's a lot of gamesmanship going on here in these in these political forums. I have a couple more videos I want to share with you all, and I want to get back to the get back. Yeah, but it's a lot of people calling out Democrats, and largely because we vote for them and we don't get anything. You know, we vote for them overwhelmingly.
Because we as a community have a big problem of just being happy we got there. You know what I mean? We celebrate just getting there. You know what I mean? But we don't demand anything. You know what I mean? And that's the failure.
But we did demand it, but he didn't have to.
Leadership,
he didn't have to.
Or the lack thereof leadership.
He didn't have to. He could dismiss any black person he wanted to, and there was no backlash. Because people were putting a demand on him, but all they had to do is, I ain't hollering at you no more. You out the circle. Just like when he called Kanye West a jackass for taking a what's the white girl name? Taylor Swift's trophy at the Grammys or whatever that was. Oh, that jackass. Wasn't no backlash. This man get called an 8. Man get called an 8 by the United States president 2026. That nigga gave one interview that I'm aware of. No.
So, again, you know, we are looking at a lot of backlash, a lot of videos, a lot of black people doing things that we're not used to seeing black people do, and specifically speaking up. Here's another one. You know, I want to talk about these so-called
white.
Now, this is I found very interesting. You have a lot of people calling out the so-called pro-black revolutionary politicians who are black, the same ones that are losing their jobs. Somebody type "lose your job" in the chat room, because that's what this is really about. You got a lot of politicians who are losing their jobs, and the truth is, you know, they talk about all this pro-black, blackity black, but most of them marry white, and that includes a lot of those Black Panthers and all those left-leaning so-called radical policy pushing Democrats. Okay, now this fella calls that out. Fair use.
Culture, and you know, let me tell you, it's all about the white culture. This, and you know, we have a problem with this. Every one of these guys, as much as they bash the white culture in America, they only marry white people. Kamala Harris's spouse, white. Ilhan Omar's spouse, white. You know, AOC spouse, white. Every one of these guys, you know, you keep talking about them. They're trying to go to that. It's not working.
But in America, the reality is that who you choose to marry matters when it comes to getting access to the halls of power. When it comes to winning Oscars or Emmys, when it comes to getting access to Harvard University or the Supreme Court, when it comes to...
I'm just saying, you know, whoever you love, baby, I'm happy for. I'm happy you found somebody that want to sit up next to your stinky butt, you know, when you're out there passing gas at night. I'm happy. I'm happy you found somebody that care about you. But it's hard to be pro-black. Like all these horrible white people are terrible. And you got a whole husband at the house that's white. I mean, or white. You're white. They can't be that terrible. It can't be that terrible. I'm just saying. Love who you love. But if you gonna be pro-black, the white man is bad and evil, but you know, you out there getting that white wood, ma'am. Now I saw Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown. I mean, she's always talking about racism and the system is racist. Can't be that racist, Judge, Your Honor, respectfully. Much respect. It seemed to me, it can't be that bad. You look like you happy to me. I see all them teeth smiles. Look at it, smiling. Look at the teeth. See, look at that. I mean, the whole front row of teeth. You look happy to me. I'm just saying. Okay, so you got to temper that. You know, the evil white man, Judge Brown. I'm looking at you. You seem can't be that evil. I mean, I'm just looking at you. Okay, what am I supposed to say? Okay, that's who picking you up in the Uber, and you just sat up there and wrote a 30-page opinion about how racist the system is. Not for you. Not for you. Let's keep going.
Supreme Court. When it comes to rising to the top of the American economic power structure, the person you choose to marry sends a signal of how well you fit in and
all of these black people
you're willing to compromise. Because
look how big they be smiling when they got their little white wife and their white husband. I ain't seen black couples smile this big. It'd be like, but they are smiling. Look how big. I see all this man's teeth. Who is this brother? This brother's teeth. Tim, is that Senator Tim Kaine? I mean, I can see his gums and his teeth. Damn, he's smiling big. I mean, her smile is like, hey, but he way up there. He's like a goddamn, like a goddamn horse smiling like that. Damn, brother. I mean, I'm sure they have a happy life, beautiful children, but I'm saying, I just noticed the smiles are humongous. Gosh.
Historically, strong
Beautiful
black
woman.
families have always been a threat to white supremacy.
I'm just saying, these are your pro-black, fight the establishment liberals that have convinced black people to be anti-American. They seem pretty content with their position. I'm just pointing out some things. I don't want to, again, I always tell folk, hey, my preference is for black men and black women to date within their race and marry within their race, but only because we live in such a racist society. I don't want bad things to happen to you, okay? And you know how these people are. But I also say that with the caveat, if you find somebody that loves you and you find somebody that treats you well, then you need to go ahead and go with that. And if you don't, you'll be a fool for not doing it, because you really are not going to be able just to find somebody that cares about you and loves you like that. That's not an everyday occurrence. And so that's why I tell people that. And I think that's me being fair and balanced. Somebody type fair and balanced, Uncle D. All right, let's keep going. Let's keep going. Keep listening. Mm-hmm.
That's why we got to keep saving folks. Mm-hmm. And black men have been emasculated in the Democratic Party.
Yes, we have.
That's real. They don't see themselves, because to lift up black women is beautiful. We should, but not at the expense of black men. Mm-hmm. We have achieved what we have achieved so far in this country because we are together. And we can't pick up other people's bad habits. Now, white women may be able to lead a white man by the side of the...
Man, I'm going to get demonetized. I can't play this again. I can't play this. I was trying to get it out, but it didn't. Man, she got that who was that? Erica Badu playing in the background. It's going to get me demonetized. So let's go ahead and we'll get a couple more of these in here, and then we're going to go ease on back to what we're doing. Okay.
Because if your entire worldview requires white people to rescue you, who exactly is behaving like the Uncle Tom? If you believe you cannot get ahead as a collective unless white people hire you because of a quota, promote you because they should, and pity you or write you reparations checks and restructure society around you, aren't you the one implying that black people are powerless without white supervision? Conservatives say we're capable. We don't need assistance. Black activists say we're incapable without assistance. Because at the end of the day, I'm not asking for special treatment. I'm not asking.
What are you asking for? If you're not asking for special treatment, what are you asking for? Somebody type asking. I want to know what she's asking for. She got all of that in. We know that you have a white boyfriend, and you said you messed around one day, and you say ask, and he corrected you on it, and that's why you over pronunciate ask with a slightly British accent. Ask, might I ask for a spot of tea and crumpets? Would you happen to have a mule by which I can tether my buggy to, so that I may be drug and chafe to the next town. I ask this on behalf of the king. Ask. Okay, somebody type ask in the chat room. Let's keep listening. Ask.
Asking to be rescued, and I'm not asking for white guilt money. I'm saying stop thinking that racism is this omnipotent being controlling your daily life, believing you're.
Now, I want y'all to see where it says black activists are the real Uncle Toms. See how that's strategically placed across the forehead. Now, if I came in here, okay, if I came up in here and like this, if I came in here like that, okay, that's, what am I hiding? Somebody type forehead wars in the chat room. We know what you're hiding. Ask. We're asking you not to hide anymore. We're asking you, since you over here talking back. Now, look, it's one thing to criticize Democrats and black activists, but not everybody should be over here criticizing Democrats and black activists. And we're asking you to remove that tag from your forehead so that you may be properly identified and categorized in your proper and placed in your proper area by way in which we can then weigh what it is you are saying by your possible biases and prejudice towards perhaps the foundation of Black Americans. So we ask that you remove your forehead, and until it's time that you does so and forth, we shall remove you from the boudoir. Okay? And as we say in America, adios, muchacho, muchacha. Okay, so let's get on back here. We're going to ask that we get some more people in here. And I would also ask that you all make sure you subscribe to the channel if you hadn't already. Now, here's something else I found very interesting. You know, they always talk about Donald Trump. This is how they scare us. They tell us that white folk, liberal, they tell us the Republicans are racist. The Republicans are racist. Isn't that how they scare black people? The Republicans are racist. Now check this out, and I think it's some other people who might come to the same conclusion. Take a listen to this.
He done had enough.
You know who white conservatives despise more than anybody else? It's not black people, it's not Hispanics, it's white liberals. Because the worst parts of the black community are enabled by white liberal policy. And the worst parts of immigration is a result of white liberal policy. The worst part of the trans community is enabled by white liberal activists. Everything that is wrong with our country is the result of liberal policies that are championed and signed off by white liberals.
Now, these are the same liberal policies that emanated from those communist socialist programs, philosophies. Remember that. I just want you all to remember that. Okay. I want y'all to remember that. Okay. And this is where we went wrong. Okay, so listen to that. Now that you know where it came from, right? And they're using it to keep you on the hook. Okay,
they destroy everything under the guise of compassion and equality, but in reality, they enable people to remain inferior and infantilize the black community with taxpayer dollars and incentivize illegal immigrants not only to stay, but to keep them comfortable. And they don't even know it.
And I'm going to talk about this a little bit later, but it's not going to work on the Mexicans, okay? It's not going to work on the Cubans. It's not going to work on the Venezuelans. The play that they ran on black people, trying to give them these free programs, these government-run checks and government-paid checks, it's not going to work on them, okay? And let's go ahead and let her finish.
That's the scary part. They don't even realize that they are the problem when they think they are helping.
Thank you to all of the people who follow me on social media.
Okay, bro, I ain't going to let you do a commercial on my broadcast, but shout out to you. Let's move on to the next one. I want to bring this home a little bit. So we kind of talked a little bit about liberals being the most racist. This is the one that's going to be running for president also. He's going to be running for president. Okay. Y'all know him.
I'm not, you know.
Y'all know who this is. Gavin Newsom. This is Good Hair Gavin. Somebody type Good Hair in the chat room. This is Good Hair Gavin.
It's all out there. I just want to put it all out there. I'm not trying to impress you. I'm just trying to impress upon you. I'm like you. I'm no better than you. I'm a 960 SAT guy. And
well, hold on a minute. You're just like me. You're no better than. Now he's in the room full of black people saying, "I'm just like you. I got a 960 on the SAT. In other words, I'm stupid, just like you." That's what he just said. He just hit in his deepest, most inner thoughts inside his little white liberal mind. He thinks black people are stupid, and it just came out. He in there nervous with his he got that Barack Obama leg cross going on. Okay, we got we got that Barack Obama leg cross, and he's in there nervous around all them black people. That's the most black people he's been around since he was a cheerleader in high school. Okay, and they had to go across town to the black school and play football. All right, this is the most black. He's in there nervous and saying stuff. Okay, Gavin with the good hair just told y'all you're stupid. That's what he just said. He said all you blacks are stupid, and he's just like you. Well, that automatically eliminates you. I'm not voting for stupid president. Let's go ahead and let him finish putting his foot in his mouth.
and I'm not trying to offend anyone, trying to act all there if you got 940.
I know.
But literally a 960 SAT guy. I cannot, you've never seen me read a speech because I cannot read a speech. Maybe the wrong business to be in.
I know, bro. Don't say nothing. I got him. Yeah, that's how they really feel. And just in case you weren't convinced, so these are the white liberals that say that the Republicans are the racist party. Let's listen to some more. What's the most liberal?
It's in America.
The most racist state in America, right? My home state. Let's listen to what he has to say. And I would tend to
California,
agree.
I believe it's the most racist place in America.
What are some of the ways you saw racism baked into California society that you didn't see in the South? Like maybe something that was more behind the scenes?
Okay, a racist cop in the South, he thought he was better than me. He didn't like me, but he'd still be polite. Good morning. You look like somebody we looking for. We just need to make sure you're not him, and we'll let you go. And I'm sorry for the inconvenience if you're not this guy. A California dude was more unapologetic and kind of happy. Even if I wasn't the guy, he was still kind of happy. He treated the N-word bad. You know what I'm saying? So California had more unapologetic racism. Mississippi had a traditional, understandable racism, but it wasn't.
All right, so just keep in mind that California is supposedly the most liberal state in the union, and I find that it's the most liberal states. Whether we're talking about Chicago with their racist police force, New York City with their racist police force, California racism. It seems to me that the most racist states are the ones that are run by liberals. Okay, and that is not something that is missed by other people. I see other people coming to that same conclusion. So let's keep listening.
It's there, but it's not as rude.
Yeah. And also
it's a little more classier racism, you know.
Yeah, like Colonel Sanders style racism.
You know, like don't start nothing, won't be nothing. You know, they feel how they feel, but you know, everybody know what's up in the South. But LA is up for grabs. So everybody want to spray paint on the wall, claim their territory. You know, everybody want their own piece of paradise and they don't want to share it with, you know, another nationality or group or whatever. So if you think about LA is the most segregated city in Los Angeles, you know.
You mean in the state or the country?
I'm going to say in the country. Of course, you know, Mexicans outpopulate everybody.
I think Chicago is probably the most segregated city in America, from my understanding. But let's let the gentleman finish.
But there was a time when each race stayed somewhere in the city. The Mexicans had East LA, blacks had South Central, Washington, Compton. White people had West LA and Hollywood. They had the beaches, Santa Monica, all that good stuff. It was a real segregated city. It's the most segregated city. 3 racial riots, probably even more, you know what I'm saying? Like, blah, blah.
Yeah, you always hear these Republicans telling us, you always hear the liberals trying to convince Black Americans, oh, the other side is so racist. Those other people are horrible, right? They're just horrible, horrible people. And, but when you really start looking at some of the policies, which policies have really affected Black America the most, which group's policies have really put a damper in our parade. Now, I want to kind of segue to something else. I want you guys to listen to some of these things said as a result of Jasmine Crockett. You all are familiar with Jasmine Crockett. Jasmine Crockett was a congresswoman from the great state of Texas, and recently she ran in a statewide election for senator and lost. All right, she lost bad. Why did she lose? She lost because the Latinos didn't vote for her. Now, a lot of y'all will say, well, Latinos are racist or they're sexist. They just didn't want to vote for a Black woman. They say. They didn't want to vote for a Black woman. Okay, all right. Okay, that's what you say. But I'm just asking, for a friend, could there have been another reason? I mean, look, we're not taking racism off the table. Black people, I want all my foundational Black Americans to come to the front of the room. Come on in. We're not going to take racism off the table. Okay, I get it. It's our fallback plan. It's always racist. Somebody type always racism. However, could there be something else? Could it be, perhaps, maybe, could it be something else? I don't know. You guys, hint, hint. I spent 2 hours talking to you all, and I'm just trying to see if it registered. But let's look at some of the responses by Black people as we look back.
Texas is going to.
We want to look back and kind of see. Okay, I know it. Racism, we're going to say it's the Mexicans and Latinos. They're just racist. They did it sexist. That's what it is. Racism and sexism. That's a very easy explanation. But I am aware that Latinos and of all ethnicities have voted for Black people before in different elections. I'm just saying. So is it possible it could be something else? Is it possible? Okay, now I've already established that Latinos are culturally racist, but that has not stopped any of you all from eating their food and visiting their countries, has it? At all? Y'all booking a flight to Mexico right now, right? You going to Puerto Tulum? Somebody type Tulum in the chat room. You going to Tulum in a couple weeks? Okay, so it hadn't stopped you, right, fellas? You got that fine big booty Latina. That cultural racism hadn't stopped you either, has it? Ladies, when you see them fellas, them little short fellas out there doing the salsa, has not stopped you from dancing with the Latino dudes. That little Paco and Pedro hadn't stopped you. It hadn't stopped. I'm just saying. I'm just pointing out some things. Okay, so we'll look at the videos, and then I'll ask you all again. Could it be something else? Okay, let's listen carefully.
You do realize what happened in Texas is going to lead to a catastrophic split between white liberals and Black liberals and what we want to see the country as, because we realize y'all are still racist as F. Okay.
She's basically saying the reason they didn't vote for Jasmine Crockett is because, Latinos are racist. We heard that before. Let's hear her out. Okay, we get it.
It's officially Malcolm X was correct. Y'all are still racist as heck. That is what it's giving. And y'all can't stop angry Black people. Y'all really cannot stop angry Black people when we all simultaneously, telepathically connect and say we're not voting.
So here's the thing. Remember I told y'all earlier what happened when we got angry and then people took advantage of our anger? Remember that part? I kind of mentioned that. So anger got us to believing that America was our enemy, and we bit on those socialist policies, and we gave up the whole philosophy of build for yourself. At least a good portion of us did, and we said we'll just take these set aside. So angry. We get that, the righteous indignation associated with injustice, but is that a good path? Has it worked well for us before? Let's keep listening.
Every we didn't have these conversations at home. We saw her lose, and all of us just came on the internet and said, fuck y'all vote. Y'all couldn't even do that if you tried.
Well,
that's why we're in war right now. And y'all didn't want to listen. So this is what...
No, we're not at war. We're not at war, ma'am. We're not at war. Okay, we are negotiating with Iran over some oil deals. That's basically what that is. You're not at war. You look like you're at home. All right, but again, you have a right to speak. I'm just asking questions. Is it always racism? Could there be anything else? Hint, hint, hint. Could there be a reason why Latinos from places like, I don't know, Venezuela or Cuba would not want to vote for a politician who pushes socialist and communist ideas? I don't know. I mean, is it just racism? Or could it be there's another reason? I'm just saying, because I just played an hour's worth of Black people explaining why they're not very happy with the Democrat Party because of the policies. So could it be something else other than racism? I'm just saying. It's an idea. I'm just throwing it out there. Okay, I'll let you finish. I know you got a lot on your chest. All right, but could it be something other than racism that calls for Latinos in Texas not to vote for Jasmine Crockett? Could it be something other than racism or sexism that calls for Latinos not to vote for Kamala Harris? Latino men, right? Maybe it's something else. Let's just think about it. Let's keep going.
Y'all get. None of these people had intentions on voting Democrat, on voting Republican. None of these Black people, the 90% of Black people who showed up for Jasmine Crockett, have no intention of voting Republican. They never were. So don't come in here and lie and say that. They are disappointed in you. We are disappointed in you. And I would gladly like to see y'all state get tore up from where we at. And y'all real close to Mexico. Y'all real close to Mexico. Y'all can't even get y'all senator y'all can't even get y'all governor who leave every time it get too cold out of office. How could I have expected y'all to be smart enough to vote for the one person who isn't
smart enough? I mean, okay, look, I love my people. Shout out to all my foundational Black American brothers, and I don't know who this young lady is, but we can't really talk about political astuteness when we have voted for the same party for 70 years. Which is help destroy the Black family. We had a white president, Bill Clinton, who signed the 1994-1995 crime bill that targeted Black people. We had our first Black president who didn't really do much for us. He gave us Obamacare, but that didn't, increase the health disparity. And so, that was the whole point of me going back. So when we start talking about political astuteness or who's stupid when they're voting, okay, we have to be mindful of the fact that we have a horrible track record of politics in this country. Okay, we fell for the fact we are as the foundational Black Americans, people whose ethnogenesis is in this country, we fell for the notion that we don't belong in America. Okay. So I just want you to be mindful when you start. This is a young lady. She doesn't know a lot. She's young, okay? But you may not know the history, okay? But when we start talking about political sophistication, I think we have some work to do collectively as a group because we've been voting Democrats for the past 60 years, and they haven't done shit for us. If you don't believe me, go to Detroit, go to Chicago, go to any of these places where they're Philadelphia. How about Baltimore? Right? If you think the Democrat parties that we've been voting for, 92% have been good for us, you need to check that out. And I'm just saying, maybe, the Latinos in Texas said, nah, I don't really want her to be our representative. Maybe it's something other than the color of her skin and her sex. I'm just pointing that out. Okay? I just want to throw that out there and you think about it. I know you're mad at the Mexicans, mad at the Latinos because sister girl didn't get it. I know that. But maybe there's another reason. Because, see, I'm thinking hypothetically, possibly, if Jasmine Crockett was less like the Jasmine Crockett that we know in the public and more like, I don't know, this beautiful, brilliant lady named Condoleezza Rice.
Right. Secretary Rice, thanks for being here.
Maybe.
We have these polls out about Iran.
Maybe she'd had a chance. Now let's listen to Condoleezza Rice, who was the Secretary of State for George Bush. Let's listen to this beautiful black woman speak. And you let me know if she does a better job at presentation than Jasmine Crockett. I'm not comparing. That's not what I do. But we want to compare. Let's take a listen.
On national security threat, most people who answer these polls, it's 61% yes, 38% no. This is the banter back and forth, even as obviously the military operation is being characterized as being very successful, and we have markers on that. What's your thoughts about where we are right now and where we may be headed?
Well, the most important thing, Brett, and thank you for having me, but the most important thing is to recognize that Iran has been at war with us for at least 47 years, all the way from 1979. People may forget. They took our embassy hostage 444 days. They were responsible for the killings of 300 plus Marines in Lebanon in the early 1980s. If you ask people about Iraq, what was the source of many of our casualties in Iraq, you'll get estimates as high as 75 or 80% of them were due to Iranian-made roadside bombs. And so they've been at war for us a long time. They also have developed the military capability to have reach outside of the boundaries of Iran, including Hezbollah and Hamas, which they both arm and equip and continue to arm and equip even after the events of the summer. And I myself negotiated 4 Security Council resolutions calling them a threat to international peace and security under Chapter 7, the strongest chapter of the UN Security Council resolutions, because of their nuclear ambitions. So to say that this regime was not a threat, I think is simply not, it's ahistorical. They have been a threat for a long time.
You can't.
Okay, so I want my black sisters to come through. Who does a better presentation of black womanhood, intellect, and intelligence? Condoleezza Rice, who you may not agree with her politics, I don't know, or Jasmine Crockett? Who would you rather have representing you as a black woman on the world stage? Okay. Now, given that presentation, that is clearly a foundational black American woman from way back. All right. And I would think, okay, that brilliant, beautiful sister with all her education, all her accolades, if she ran for some sort of statewide public office, as knowledgeable as she is, she would be a formidable opponent. And, I don't think anybody with good sense, unless the other candidate was just super qualified, would discount her because of her race and her sex. And so maybe we have to start to think, well, maybe it was something else related to Jasmine Crockett. Okay, maybe it was the policy she stand on, because, I can vote for somebody who's a little ghetto and a little loud if their policy is right. I'm talking about tangibles. And so we have to look at things from the lens of where these people are coming from. And when I say these people, I'm talking about Latinos. So let's go ahead and begin to break some stuff down a little bit deeper. We're going to go a little bit deeper. Again, the Democrats, they tried to trade black voters in for Latinos, and they got played. All right. And so and they've been what they're trying to do is they try to run the same play on the Latino community, which is now the majority minority. And they ran on black people for 6 decades. They give them services, give them benefits, and give people emergency programs, right? Give them government help, and then convince them that the party providing those benefits deserves their political loyalty forever. And the other party is racist, right? Them Republicans are racist, okay? And that's the play. It's not complicated. Democrats use the same model on black folk for generations. They gave us welfare, public housing, food stamps, Medicaid, Section 8, government programs and then told us to treat those benefits as proof of progress. But those benefits didn't create ownership, inheritance, land ownership, or businesses. They didn't create anything black families could pass down. What they created was dependency on government programs and Democrat political control of the black community. So now, Democrats are aiming the same model at the migrants that they just let up here by the millions. In cities like New York and Chicago and Boston, the government suddenly found this money for these shelters and hotels and food cards and legal services and caseworkers and workforce help and emergency spending. They took American tax-paying dollars and gave illegals, Latinos mostly, $1,500 iPhones, five-star hotels, prepaid debit cards, shelter space, legal services, and everything else they wanted to seem like. I think they were riding around in scooters. So black Americans are looking at this and saying, hey, we asking, where was the urgency for us? We've been voting Democrat for decades. We've been asked to save democracy over and over again. We were told to stand in line and wait our turn, and we keep showing up. But when black communities ask for reparations and ownership and programs and safer neighborhoods and better schools and business investment and enforceable protections, suddenly it's too expensive. We ask them, what are you going to do for us specifically? They will say stuff like, well, I can't do anything specifically for black people, or I'm the president of all people. But see, here's the thing, brothers and sisters. That's the wrong question to be asking. Were you not here for the first 2 hours? The question we should be asking is, why is this plan not working on Latinos? Latino voters, they aren't black voters. They don't hear free government benefits and think, oh, that's a good thing. A lot of these Latino families come from places where government dependency and socialism and state control was sold as compassion before they turned into poverty and corruption and shortages and collapse. So when the Democrats showed up with that free check saying the big government will take care of everybody, the message Latino voters recognized was a warning sign. See, Democrats thought they could run that same game on Latinos and build a permanent political base by giving out free benefits and services. But Latino voters, especially Latino men, heard something different. They heard socialism. They heard Chavez. Okay? That's who they heard. Okay? They heard Fidel Castro. They heard socialism. They heard dependency. They heard the same political language that families fled from in Cuba and Venezuela and Nicaragua and other countries damaged by those failed left-wing socialist governments. Black people and Latinos are looking at these Democrat policies through two different historical lenses. Black people are looking at welfare, housing assistance, Medicaid, food stamps, vouchers, and government programs through the memory of slavery and Jim Crow and segregation and redlining and police abuse and exclusion. So when the government says we're going to give you some help, a lot of black people hear, oh, this is our reparative justice. This is what they owed us. This is what our leaders from the 1920s to the 1970s said we are entitled to. We hear finally the government is going to do something for people it locked out. And that's understandable. We didn't come to that view out of nowhere. The government helped create the conditions that black people were trying to survive. But here's the trap. The people selling that message didn't just sell help, they sold dependency. They didn't just tell black people the government owed us repair. They taught us that black people to see the government programs as liberation. They taught a people of builders to become comfortable with benefits. They taught a people who built churches and towns by the thousand, businesses and schools and farms and newspapers and mutual aid societies and big, beautiful families to see the government assistance as the new measure of progress. Not all that stuff you had built, not all those HBCUs. No. that welfare check, something free. And see, that's where that socialist, communist influence came in. Black anger at America was real when it infiltrated the black political consciousness. It was justified. America preached freedom, and black people were still dealing with segregation and brutality and violence and discrimination and poverty. But that anger became an opening. And America's foreign enemies, China, Russia, Cuba, etc., Vietnam, those communist powers, those revolutionary movements used America's racism as propaganda. They used our pain to sell a political idea. Capitalism is your enemy. America is the enemy. Private ownership is oppression. The government control is liberation. And that was the poison in the food. It sounded like justice. Somebody typed sound good in the chat. It sounded good. Sounded like equality. Sounded like revolution. But underneath it was the same idea that destroyed opportunity in other places. More state control, more retribution, more dependency, less ownership. And somehow our black leaders, W.B. Du Bois, Paul Robeson, Stokely Carmichael, Huey P. Newton, Angela Davis, somehow they took it hook, line, and sinker, and they sold it back to black people as liberation. Now let's talk about how crazy that sounds. On one hand, these leaders said that they wanted to fight the government. They said that they were fighting the power. They said America was oppressive. They said that the system needed to be torn down. But on the other hand, they wanted the same government to feed us, house us, fund us, manage us, and give us benefits. Make that make sense. How do you want the government, you want to destroy the government and still want the same government to pay your rent? You call the government the oppressor and ask the same government to be your provider. You out here preaching revolution and you building an entire economic plan around welfare or Section 8. That's not liberation. That is confusion with a raised fist. And the numbers don't lie. Look where we were and look where we are now. We have become largely, not all of us, because we're doing great, but there's a large section of us, and y'all have cousins and family members, and you know what I'm talking about. Look how deep the dependency model became. Look at the Census Bureau, and research found that among people receiving SNAP, TANF, and rental subsidies, 50.1% were black in 2014. 48% of the public housing households were black in 2014, even though black households are only 90% of overall rentals. The Pew Research shows that in 2023, almost 27% of adult SNAP recipients and 32.3% of child SNAP recipients were black. There was another report by KFF. It said that in 2024, black people under 65 still had uninsured rates of 10.1% compared to 6.8% of white folks. So even after decades of programs, we still dealing with these gaps. Did it help us? Did it help us? Did those Democrat policies help? Did those socialist policies help us? Huh? What did those Democrat socialist programs really produce? They produced survival, not empowerment. They produce access, not ownership. They produce eligibility, not inheritance. They produce benefits, not control. And that's the difference. Black people are now starting to understand. Now, let's talk about these Latinos, because Latinos, they're looking at these policies from a different memory. They didn't go through Jim Crow. They weren't enslaved. But many of these Cubans and Venezuelans and Nicaraguans and these other countries, they had to deal with these left-wing communist governments. And they don't hear help when politicians promise socialism and revolution and redistribution and state control and government dependency. They hear shortages. They hear corruption. They hear censorship. They hear poverty. They hear fear. They hear the beginning of the same story that their families fled from. And that's why Latinos respond differently. Black people, we hear these policies as repair because we're looking through the pain of exclusion. Latinos hear these policies as warning signs because they're looking through the memory of government control and collapse. Black people ask, will this force fairness? Latinos are like, will this turn America into the family, to the places we escaped from? And that's why this conversation matters. Democrats ran the dependency model on Black people for decades. Then they tried to run that same game on Latinos. But a lot of Latinos recognize that they smelt that socialism. Oh, hell no. No quiero. Oh, let's fail. They smelted it. You understand me? Shout out to Full Drink, Half Thinking. They recognized the language. They recognized the signs. They understood that free stuff from the government ain't really free. And once the government becomes your provider, the government becomes your boss, your controller. So Black people shouldn't just ask, why aren't Latinos voting for the Democrats or voting with us? Why didn't they vote for Jasmine Crockett? Why didn't they vote for Kamala Harris? The better question is, what do they see that we're trained to ignore? Because maybe it's not just racism. Maybe that kind of cheapens. You got a whole group of people with their own goddamn countries all throughout South America, Central America, and you assume you know better than them. I'm just saying. Maybe we do. Maybe we just that brilliant as foundational Black. Maybe we just know everything. I don't know, baby. I don't know. Maybe they saw a trap. Maybe they understood that benefits aren't power. A voucher isn't ownership. A government program isn't inheritance, and dependency dressed up as justice still is dependency. That's the point. Black people didn't fail because we wanted help. We needed help. The failure came when the leadership taught us to confuse help with power. The failure came when socialist and communist ideas convinced Black people that ownership was oppression and capitalism was evil and government dependency was justice. And that's how the builder people, which was us, got redirected into a program managed people. And now this generation, this one right here, you all that's looking at me right now, all y'all with your little ugly faces, all of y'all. That's why you are asking these questions right now. If these policies that this Democrat Party convinced us to vote for didn't build wealth, it didn't build ownership, it didn't build families, it didn't build safer communities, and it didn't build anything our children can inherit, then why are we still being told to defend them and support the Democratic Party? And see, that's the lesson that Black people need to study. Latinos aren't necessarily rejecting the compassion associated with free stuff from the government. Perhaps maybe they're rejecting socialist and communist policies hiding inside those Democrat Party messages. They're rejecting the idea that government benefits equals freedom. They're rejecting the idea that a political party can buy their loyalty with a funky ass cell phone and a hotel voucher and a welfare check. It's Black people whose vote could be bought by a goddamn fried fish and fried chicken plate at a political party. That's us. Black people are the ones who get paid off like that. Black people are the one they threw Megan Thee Stallion twerking up on the stage, throwing that thing around like it's an HBCU step show, and suddenly they think that's a substitute for policy. That's insulting to me. I don't know about you. And then when Black people, especially Black men, start saying, hey, hold on a minute. We get treated like children. If Black man decides, hey, you know what? I'm voting Republican. Or better yet, I'm voting independent. Or hell, I'm going to stay home. Even if you simply question the Democratic Party as a grown Black man, somebody comes scolding you like you a child. Here comes the shame. Here comes the lecture. You act like black men don't have the right to look at the record and compare the outcomes and decide for themselves what serves their interests. Latino men didn't fall for it, did they? 51% of them voted for Donald Trump. The majority of them voted for Talaferro, whatever his name is, against Jasmine Crockett. That's why they voted for him. You can call it misogyny if you want to. You can call it racism if you want. If that makes you feel better, go ahead. But what you can't do is ignore what Latino men are showing us politically. I'm not mad at them. In fact, I'm very grateful because they are a similarly situated ethnic group of men who obviously recognized something earlier than we did. You got these diehard Democrats calling them a bunch of illiterate, fruit-picking wetbacks because of their goddamn vote. This is the so-called tolerant party, right? And they throwing out these insults at these people, talking down to them. Stereotypes, uneducated. You heard them? I just played the videos 15 goddamn minutes. This is the tolerant party. You want to talk down to Latino men like you talk down to the 21% of black men who voted for Trump and the Republicans. That's what you're doing. But the truth is, both of those groups showed more political sophistication than Black America has as a whole, has shown over the past 60 years. And that's hard for some people to hear. But the facts are the facts. The Latino men looked at the Democrat Party's message and they heard that same socialist language that they heard in Venezuela and Cuba and Nicaragua. They saw the government dependency. They saw soft on crime politics. They saw open borders. They saw chaos coming. They saw an attack on capitalism, and they said, no quiero. No quiero. No puedo. And they did not let shame or control manipulate them. They didn't let the media figures lecture them into submission. They didn't let political parties buy their loyalty with them little funky welfare packages and benefit slogans. They compared the policies to the outcomes and they made a decision. And that's what black voters, especially black men, are starting to do now. We're asking the same questions Latino men already asked. What are these policies producing? Are they building ownership? Is it increasing safety? Is it helping me build a better family? Is it helping me establish wealth? Is it going to help me become a landowner? Is it going to give me political power? Or are they just creating dependency, confusion, and long-term political control? If people want to insult Latino men or black men for seeing that trap, that's your own business. But for where I'm standing, black people in general should study what we saw. Now, I want to take the opportunity to thank all you beautiful people who contributed to the super chat. I have more to say. I do. I have some more to say. Somebody type "si se puede" in the chat room. Somebody type "yes, we can." We only got 12 super chats. Y'all didn't learn much. Oh, that's sad. I'll do better next time. Let's go ahead and read these cash apps. I ain't gonna have y'all here all night. I know what y'all want y'all to go ahead and call your mama. Okay, call your mama because it's your mama's day. Isn't that what they call it? Your mama's day? Somebody call your mama. We started off earlier today in the broadcast acknowledging all your mamas. And I told all my white friends who are here today, make sure the next time you see a black person, just, if you didn't get a chance to call them on Mother's Day, just roll up to them and say, your mama. Okay. I want you to say it just like that. Your mama. Say it like that. Say your mama. And they will then immediately embrace you with love and affection and say, oh, thanks for thinking about my mom. So just say your mama when you see your black friend at work tomorrow. Okay. But anyway, praise Moses. What we're going to do now is we're going to read the cash app. Somebody type your mama in the chat room. Type your mama in the chat room so I know you all are listening. Shout out to Troy. Thank you so much, David Johnson and Kareem and Mark Bronson. Thank you all so much. Appreciate y'all. We only got 13 super chats. Y'all didn't learn nothing. Damn, I got to do better. I've been yelling and screaming at the internet for about 3 hours, 2.5 hours. Golly, I only got 13 super chats. Man, I thought y'all was ready for this. But anyway, I'm appreciative. Y'all don't owe me anything. Nobody owe me nothing. Okay, you don't owe me nothing. But if we could get some more people learning, y'all let me know what it is I need to talk about because y'all it's hard to teach. Anyway, shout out to Black Up. I think there was some other people who came through. Somebody that might have been what happened, and they didn't show up. So we might have more than 13 super chats, but I'm not going to be able to read it because the system that I'm using only shows the last 13. That's so sad. But anyway, Black Abdullah, he said, peace, Hal, appreciate your family. Housing and Community Development Act would not give Black men those free private market contracts as they continue to destroy the projects. Thank you so much. And G Green said, thank you for the $4.99 super sticker. Also, Philly, the Don said, I hope FBAs take advantage of the baby capitalism in Cuba. Donald Trump's exactly what he's doing. It's prime real estate or international capital. Yeah, I see what's going on in Cuba. They're going to get Cuba back like they wanted to be, a little off the shore place, haven for rich people. Anyway, who else we got in here? Claudine Gay's husband is Christopher C. I can't say their name. Can't say it. Sorry. Philly the Don, thank you for the $5 super sticker. Thank me. Shout out to the Ice Lords. I appreciate all my people who've been here for years. I want to make sure I acknowledge you all. Thank you so much to my dedicated following, all the memberships. Good looking out to you guys. A lot of stuff in the membership that's not available to the public. There'll be some more in there too. But thank you so much. Also, Brother Dennis coming with the game and the jokes. I got jokes. Shout out to MC Recover. My man, MC Recover, Compton in the house, Compton, California. Full drinking, half thinking. Salute to you, family. Appreciate you. Did y'all learn something? Did you learn something that you didn't know? Did I bring it home? I'm trying my best to bring it. This is complicated stuff. They're not teaching this. You are not going to learn this in the liberal college. And the reason that they can't teach you this stuff in the liberal college is because it goes against everything that they learn in their little PhD programs. Why would they tell you, yeah, we were brainwashed and they brainwashed our university? So you're not going to learn this. They're not going to teach this stuff. And here's the crazy part about it. Most of you all knew there's something wrong with these Democrat policies. You knew something wrong, but it just takes something like this to kind of really bring it all together. And that's what's happening right now. You see what I'm saying? That's what's happening right now. We're just bringing it all together for you, baby. Bringing it all together for you. So shout out to me. You understand? Somebody type me in the chat room. And you for being here. Shout out to Mr. Mikhail. I can't say that. Speak on it. Thank you. I will. Who else? Urban Eagle. My man, Urban Eagle. What's up, brother? Thank you for the $2 super sticker. Big J 773 was late. Gonna go back and watch the replay, fam. Appreciate you. So we got 14 super chats. That's all good in the hood. All right. Did y'all learn something? Did you all learn something? Did you pick up some information that you didn't know? Huh? I'm just asking questions. All I do is ask questions. And you notice how sometimes y'all like, I don't know where Mr. Spurling is going to go with this, and it ends up somewhere like, damn. See, my way, and some of you all ask me, well, why don't you become a history teacher? I can talk to more people on the internet, okay, and have more freedom. Thank you so much, Intricately Tangled. She's starting to be one of my favorites. What's up? This lesson was so needed. Well, yeah, now, baby, now you have the ammunition that you need. So you can really say, this is why it doesn't work. This is why the Democrat policy, they were never designed to work. Our leaders picked it up from the enemies of the United States because they wanted to create disturbances in the United States, and they basically manipulated Black people to do it. So all this whole thing was a fraud. Okay, it was never designed to work. But you're never going to learn this in any of these Ivy League universities. They cannot teach you this because it undermines their whole curriculum. But it's all right there for you to see. Just do the damn timeline. Just look these people up. Oh, communists, socialists, communists. Damn. Okay. What is it that they're teaching? And you start seeing what everything that the Democrat Party stands for, basically our leadership primed us to accept that. That's why not being loyal, that's why being disloyal to the Democrat Party is akin to being against the revolution. You see what I mean? You see how that works? You ain't black. What did Joe Biden say? You ain't black if you don't vote Democrat. Where does that sound? That sounds like black empowerment, pro-black talk from the 1960s and 70s. And that's where we headed. And nobody's gonna tell you about this because folk hadn't really thought about it like that. This is not what's taught. You actually have to do some thinking on your own. And unfortunately, our people have not been taught to think on their own. Okay? We've been taught to read and regurgitate. We've never been taught this. What I'm telling you all right now is freeing your mind up. And nobody wants to free you up. But this is a freedom channel over here. Now, some of you all may not like what I say on any given day. I know some people, the Haitians was mad at me for a long time. And then I started talking about how in the injustice they were dealing with. They were like, well, he ain't that bad. Right? Then we had the African people in the motherland were mad at me, and then they said, well, yeah. And then they start hitting me saying, well, when I start talking about Sierra Leone and Liberia and how foundational Black Americans went over there and colonized. And they was like, hold on, he ain't that bad. You're not supposed to like every goddamn thing I say. You're not supposed to. Shout out to Brown Eyes. Thank you so much, baby. Great show. Learned a lot. I'm not finished yet. I got to bring it home. Uncle D I got to drive you home and drop your ass off. Make sure you walk in the front door. Praise Moses. I want to make sure you get there. I'm a videotape it too, because you ain't going to blame me. All right. Shout out to Fuquan. Okay. You understand? So you're not supposed to like everything I say, but my delivery style is very easy to understand. I have a philosophy and I talk about it in my books, Rules to Live By. The best way to get somebody's attention is to punch them in the mouth. Now, I don't mean literally doing that, because you will go to jail. Okay. Don't do that. But what I'm saying is you got to hit people and you got to grab their attention. Okay. And you got to hurt their feelings, and then they'll listen. You understand what I'm saying? You got to you have to shock their strongly held beliefs and make them so enraged at you that then they open up. And that's what I do. Okay. I'm a master at I told y'all earlier when I got in here. Remember that earlier conversation? I always allude to what I'm going to talk about. Remember I told y'all I was a badass little light-skinned red boy on the schoolyard campus that made people mad? That's the same thing I'm doing now. I've had 5 decades to perfect the art of making you so mad that you want to listen to me. You understand? That's why I got all these beautiful women in my life. Praise God. That's how it works. You think yeah, man. Sometimes you got to know how to talk to them, make them a little mad at you, get them emotions up. I got them emotions up. I got them mad. That's why my kids look like me. Shout out to William Johnson. Don't you know, if you make your woman mad at you while she's pregnant, all your kids will look like you? Did y'all know that? I'm gonna have to get some hints on relationships. I'm one day, okay? If you make your woman mad, if she's angry while she's pregnant with your baby, okay, the baby will look like you. That's how you do it. Okay, that's why when you having a girl baby, you got to be nice to her. Okay, because if you don't want your daughter to have a big old nose like this. Okay, you don't want that. Shout out to Penelope. You don't want your daughter to have a big. So you got to be nice. If you find out your woman is pregnant with a girl baby, you got to be real nice to her. Hey, baby, what you want? You want something to eat? I'm making some corn. You want a cup of water or something? You got to be nice to him so the baby will look like her. Because you don't want no ugly ass man face looking baby to look like you. I remember I dated a girl one time and she was cool until I met her daddy. And then she looked just like her daddy. And I'm like, every time I saw her daddy, I'm like, I'm sorry. I had to break up with her behind that. She looked like her daddy. The minute I saw her daddy, I couldn't date her no more. Everything was fine before till I saw her daddy. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. And it's her daddy's fault. Her daddy was mean to the mama. And that's why that girl came out looking like her daddy. So you got to be nice to the woman if she's having a girl baby, so the baby can look like the mama. Now you might have an ugly girlfriend, ugly baby mama. Then you want to be mean to her, so the baby can look like you. Or hopefully, maybe skip a generation and look like a good-looking relative from the past or something. But that's what I've done. That's, you see, all my sons look like me, and all my baby mama, my ex-wife, and my baby mama, they mad at me now. That's what my kids look like me. Ain't no way them kids are supposed to look like me. Okay, ain't no way. No way them kids supposed to look, but they all look just like. I got pictures. I'm gonna put some pictures of my kids. They all look just like me because I made my ex-wife and my baby. I made my ex-wife mad twice. That's why the little curly head boy Roman looked like me. He ain't supposed to look like me. His mama from New Orleans. He's supposed to look like he's supposed to look like he from New Orleans. And my other son didn't. He looked like me too. Okay, they all got that big nose. Look at the big ass nose I got. Look at that. Look at that. Huge. Look at that. My nose, same size as my forehead. That's a goddamn shame. Damn, I ain't know it was that big. Look at big one. Look, damn. Damn. Oh my God. Y'all shouldn't entertain this bullshit. Let me get back to work, man. God bless y'all. Y'all don't entertain every time I see giggles and likes, that keep me going. Stop it. We talk about a serious subject here. Stop entertaining this foolishness with me. I ain't gonna play with y'all. Let's get back to serious business. Okay, serious business. Anyway. Shout out to everybody who contributed to the super chat, the Cash App, and the PayPal. But I'm gonna be real nice to my wife. I'm married again, and she's pretty. So I told her I want a girl baby. So I'm gonna be real nice. I'm talk real. So how you doing? You okay? Would you like me to iron your clothes? So I'm gonna be real nice. I'm trying to tell you. And that baby gonna look just like the mama. I'm trying to tell y'all. Now, next time I'm gonna tell y'all how I got 3 boy babies in a row. It's an art to that. You gotta. I don't want to give away my secrets, but some of you dudes, you have girls. You got 3, 4, 5 girls. Hit me up. All right, schedule a conference, and I explain you how to get a boy baby. I got 3 in a row by 2 different women. I'm doing what my legacy is secure. You understand what I'm saying? Y'all should learn from me. Don't hate, baby. I know what I'm doing. Okay, it gets you a little brown liquor, and it's the right position and the right time. But I ain't gonna talk about that now. We'll talk about that another day. I'm gonna start a relationship channel, and I'm gonna teach you. I'm gonna educate you fellas on how to go ahead and get up in there like a champ. Okay, so you can go ahead and get them boy babies out of there. So you have somebody to cut your grass and take out the trash when you get old. But anyway, all right. Shout out to everybody. Thank you so much. Now look, to my diehard Democrats, nobody's coming to join the black people on the Democrat plantation. They are not coming. Okay, that's part of that vote blue no matter who. Black Democrats, they need to understand nobody's coming. Latinos are not coming. The Asians damn sure ain't coming. The East Asians, the Central, none of them are coming. White women are what? White women been faking y'all out like boom. You know what I'm saying? They busted. They out of there. They just say, yeah, girl. And they go about their business. White women aren't coming either. Everybody can see what these socialist style dependency policies produce over time. And the only group that was brainwashed to treat those socialist policies as liberation was foundational Black American people. And now we're starting to wake up. And that's the part that the Democrats and the old school Black leadership don't understand. They still think Black voters are stuck in 1965. They still think that fear is going to work. They still think guilt is going to work. They still think calling everybody a racist is going to work. They still think Black people need to interpret politics. We need somebody to interpret the politics for us. But Black people aren't standing in the same place anymore. We're wealthier now. We got money. Shout out to Penelope. We got money. Okay? On top of that, we're educated. We're connected. And yeah, racism still exists in America in 2026. We know that. It was like that in 1920, 1940, and 1960. We get that. But it's still not as bad as it was back then. So the question becomes, do Democrats think we're stupid? Do you really believe black people can't see that pattern? Do you really believe we can't compare outcomes? Do they really believe we can look at decades of welfare state policies and ask why they didn't produce any ownership? They don't think we can see every other group is protecting its own interests while black people are being told to sacrifice ours for the Democrat and the democracy? You don't believe that? Black people aren't stuck on an ideology, especially one that has failed to produce power and for nearly a century. We're watching Latinos reject the dependency politics. We're watching the immigrants reject the socialist language. We're watching other groups protect their own interests. And now black people are asking why we were told that doing the same thing is somehow betrayal. Look, fam, nobody's coming to join black people on the Democrat plantation. The world has too much information now. People know that socialism fails. People know communism fails. People know dependency doesn't build power. And black people are finally beginning to realize that what was sold to us as justice was just control in another form. They brought us back to the plantation. And those foreign anti-American socialist countries were white. They were Asian. They were Arab-run enemies of the United States. And let me tell you a secret. They don't like black people either. They got their own black people over there. All they did was capitalize on black anger and black rage and black frustration. And they capitalized on that anger to try to help destroy America. We were angry about slavery. We were angry about Jim Crow and being excluded. We were angry about segregation. We were angry about paying our taxes and working hard and trying to live the American dream and being redlined and stuck in a community that was decrepit and rotten. We were hostile and angry about police brutality. We were always having riots. We had a right to be angry. But that anger got used against us in the long run. Our anger became the opening for people to sell us socialism and communism and welfare dependency and anti-American ideology, and it as if it was black liberation, which it wasn't. We were told that capitalism was our enemy and ownership was oppression and government dependency was justice. And we fell for it. But this generation is not the same generation. In the early 20th century, black literacy was high. 44% of black people couldn't even read. And there was a large percentage that could barely read. That's not who we are now. We aren't isolated. We aren't fresh off the plantation. We aren't sitting around waiting for a black preacher or a black politician or some civil rights spokesman to explain the world to us. We got smartphones now. Y'all got YouTube. We have podcasts. We have independent speakers like myself. We have people breaking down speeches and rechecking claims and pulling up receipts and comparing video clips and exposing contradictions in real time. The gatekeepers are gone. Hell, the gates are wide open. People are walking around the gates. They climbing over the gates. They're kicking the gates down. They're building their own platforms outside the gates. And that's the power of social media. So when you have people like Roland Martin and Mark Lamont Hill, both of them my fraternity brothers, shout out to Ice Cold Brothers of Alpha Phi Alpha. And you also have other black media figures that try to shame black voters for questioning Democrats. It don't hit the same. You can't talk to this generation like this, stupid. You can't tell people to vote blue no matter who and expect them to ask or not ask what do they get for it. My time is my money. I'm not going to wait in line and go down there in some rainy or hot day and sit in some 4-hour line to vote, and I'm not getting anything out of it. Hell with you. And you certainly can't tell black people socialism is justice when they can look around the world and see socialist communist policies failing in real time. And that's why Latinos are important in this particular conversation. And I know they're racist, right? That's the only reason they won't vote for Jasmine Crockett and Kamala Harris. They're racist and sexist, right? We know that, right? We've established that, right? But still, maybe there's another reason. Hint, hint, hint. But the bottom line is black people aren't leading this political awakening. Not in many ways. Black people are now following the political lead of Latinos. Damn, are you serious? Think about it. They looked at the same Democratic messages and immediately recognized that socialist funk that forced their families to leave their homelands. They saw the promises. The Democrats broke their back to give them free stuff. They didn't they? And they said, no way, Jose. We've seen this before. That's what they said. And the Democrat, the Republican, the Hispanic vote was about even in 2024 because they have different experiences because they're not the same people. We just put that label Latino on them. But the Tejanos and the Mexicans and the Venezuelans and the Cubans and the Puerto Ricans, they're all different people, different cultures, different experiences. The white folk just put that label Latino. You might as well call them Latinx. They didn't invent that. That's like bunching us in with Africans and Caribbeans and so on and so forth. Different culture, different people. But you will find that in 2024, 48% of Hispanic voters back Trump. 51% back Kamala. That's about half to me. And that was a major shift from 2020 when Biden won Hispanic vote by 25 points. So they're shifting away from the Democrat Party. But they also found that 54% of Hispanic men voted for Trump, compared to 44% for Harris. Asian voters also moved to Trump, with 40% voted for Trump. In 2024, that's up from 30% in 2020. Black voters still remain heavily Democratic. However, Trump support nearly doubled. It went from 8% in 2020 to 15% in 2024. And in 21% of black men voted for Trump. That's not a small thing. That's not random. That's a political warning shot. See, when support for Republican president nearly doubles amongst black voters in one election or one election cycle, that tells you something deeper is happening. It tells you that black voters, especially black men, are questioning whether an automatic loyalty to Democrats is actually producing anything for us. And that kind of movement doesn't happen for no reason. It happens when people start comparing outcomes. It happens when people get tired of being shamed instead of respected. It happens when voters start asking, what did we actually get? And when black men start moving like that politically, Democrats and black media gatekeepers should be paying attention instead of pretending that we're stupid or confused or voting against our own interests or we're sexist. Because you can't call us racist like you do the Latino men. So you and Barack Obama and all you Democrats, we sexist. We got to be something pathological. We can't just be voting our interests. Somebody type vote your interests in the chat room. Nevertheless, I do find it ironic that the Democrat Party tells black people to be concerned about racist Republicans who think we're stupid, but then they turn around and call us stupid when we vote for what we believe is in our own best interest. They did the same thing to Latinos. They did the same thing to Latino men. Instead of asking why 54% of Latino or Hispanic men voted for Trump, they insulted them. They talk down to them. They act like they don't know what they're doing. And that tells you something about the Democrat Party. Nobody should assume Latinos are going to be suckered into joining black people on the Democratic plantation especially when black people are slowly Harriet Tubman in our ways up out of there. You understand? They ain't coming. In fact, the opposite is starting to happen. Shout out to conservative millennial. Black voters are beginning to align more with Latinos and other minority voters who are becoming more conservative in their voting habits. And that movement isn't perfect. It's not happening all at once, but the trend is clear. So-called minority voters are no longer behaving like the automatic Democratic property that we supposed to be. And the numbers showed us something is changing amongst black voters. In 2024, the NAACP poll reported by Reuters, 26% of black men under 50 supported Trump. 26% of black men under 50 supported Trump, compared to 49% who supported Harris. The same report found that economic issues, crime, public safety were the top concern of black voters, with 82% of black men under 50 listing economic issues among the most important issues facing the country. That doesn't mean black people are suddenly Republicans. That's damn sure not what I'm saying. I'm not even a Republican. I happened to vote for the Republican president last time, but that don't mean I'm gonna keep voting for Republican. I'm vote a mixed ticket. I vote my interests. And that's what I tell you to do. But what it does mean is that more black people are becoming politically independent and less willing to be suckered into voting for one party, especially when you're not giving us anything or the foolishness that you are giving us is actually bad for us. Look here. The Democrats, let me explain something to you. If you think that we still afraid, that we automatically gonna run back and vote for you to save the democracy, you got another thing coming. Because see, that old democracy speech, it doesn't hit the same way when people are asking real questions about the economy and crime and schools and family borders. Black people aren't sitting around asking for more chaos. What's going to happen if we vote for another Democrat? Are you going to open up the borders again and flood the black communities with more illegal immigrants? That's not good for us. Are we going to hear more about gender ideology debates? Is that what's we worried about? Other things. We're not concerned about identity politics. We're not concerned about anything that doesn't help our neighborhoods and our communities. People are asking legitimate questions. What exactly are we voting for? And see, that's the problem. Because see, for years, Democrats acted like black folks should be satisfied. We should just be satisfied with having black faces in high places. We need to be satisfied with speeches and slogans. But black people have we done with that. See, the question is not whether we had black representation in office. The question is whether that representation produced safer streets and better schools, stronger families, more businesses and land wealth and ownership and inheritance. If the answer is no, then black voters have every right to question the whole arrangement. And that's why you see what you see happening. Again, doesn't mean that we turn a Republican. I'm not telling one person on my page to vote Republican. I'm not telling you to vote Democrat. I'm not telling you to stay home. I'm telling you to vote your interest, and that means vote whatever is best for you. And if sitting at home on your couch on election day is what you deem best for you, that's what you do. Because I'm not here to tell grown people what to do, because I damn sure don't want nobody telling me what to do. I'm too grown for that. Nevertheless, if the Republicans put forward a candidate with a serious resume, Democrats should not assume that black voters will be automatically reject the person because that party label. I look at Marco Rubio, for example. He's a U.S. Secretary of State. He was confirmed by the Senate unanimously, which means both the Democrat and the Republican senators voted for him in his confirmation hearing in January 2025. And his role has been expanded. under Trump. He's been named acting national security director. I'm not saying you should vote for this man. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is you should vote your interest. And what I'm saying is he's a serious candidate. Something that I don't have to tell black people anymore, especially black men. So the real political issue black people are confronting is not whether black politicians will lose their jobs, because that's really what this whole scare is about. They're losing their jobs. These black politicians are going to have to go sit home. They're going to have to sit at home. Hakeem, you're going to lose your job. 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 That's what they're concerned about. They're concerned about their pockets no longer being lined. They're concerned about being regular black people again. The only thing I'm concerned about regarding these elected officials is will they actually serve the interests that I'm looking forward to? And as a black person, will they serve black interests? And see, that's the part Democrats don't seem to be ready for. Black people in 2026 are not the same people we were in 1920 and 1940 and 1964. We're more educated, we're more connected, we're more informed, we're more independent, we're more capable of checking the record for ourselves. We've seen too much, we read too much, we heard too much, and we've lived through too much to be scared back into line with the same old speech. And if Democrats want support, they're going to have to offer more than fear and scare tactics. We ain't scared enough. They're going to have to offer policies that actually match the needs of black people right now. This is Uncle D. I love you all. God bless y'all. I appreciate everything you've done for me this evening. I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful week. I'll see you soon. And as I always said this time, I'm out.
In the Spurling podcast, hit the like button, subscribe.